Hello, hello, everyone. How is everybody doing this morning? Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I'm gonna open up my Photoshop here real quick. We'll let that load on the side while I get all talking to you. Good morning to everyone out there. Hopefully you're doing fantastic. My name is Wild, but you already knew that. Hopefully you're having a good one. I got my water, banana for scale, and just a little bit of coffee. I already had one cup this morning, and I just took a shower, so I look nice and clean and prim and proper. Love coffee. But let me start with saying my good mornings to everyone here really quick. Let's see here. We move the chat, pop it out so I can say hello. Baby, how are you doing this morning? Pat, Lorraine, Kim, Madison, hello, hello. If I miss anyone, let me know. Zoid, how you doing there today? Dan, good morning to you. And I think I caught up with everyone. Good morning. I'm excited today. Gonna do a nice little power stream here while I'm awake before I start the rest of my day. I've got some gardening that I'm going to do. I don't even know if it's gonna be warm today in Southern California. I probably should have checked on that first, but you know what? We have an iPhone, so why don't we just check on that just really quick. Hey, what's up before the crow's nest? How you doing there? Good morning to you. Oh, good news. It's not going to be hot. It's only going to be like in the mid 70s. So yes. Oh, and it even says it's going to rain. What? Oh, no, it says it was supposed to this morning. It did not. So I know some of you sent some of my art requests to me. So thank you very much. I need to grab some of it because I haven't done any of that yet. I know Baby did. If you're new to this channel and if you haven't been here before, what we like to do is take a look at some people's artwork, share it, give some criticism, some feedback, and try to help out in any ways we can. And then I look at the art and just give some general tips, maybe techniques, and just a fresh perspective of eyes of how you can approach the art or redo it and all that fun stuff. You know what? Let me turn the background music off for me because Pavarotti screaming isn't helping me concentrate at all. There we go. Let's get this going. So if anybody out there, obviously YouTube members get first shout, would like me to review their art, please let me know. I know Baby sent me one. I forgot what she sent it to me on. I believe it was, I think it actually was an email, which I think I already have popped up right here. So let me go to that. There we go. And I was looking at them last night. Baby, your art is getting so good. I am so proud of you. You're doing great. And let's see, which one do I want to do? I was thinking the waterfall one. Yeah, the waterfall one caught my eye, mostly because I love blue. So let's grab that one. If anybody else out there would like me to put them in the queue, please let me know in chat right now, because that way it's easier for me to start grabbing certain things. Baby, there we go. Type it in there. But like I said, YouTube channel members get first crack and chat at it. Now, before we get into our reviews, hopefully everybody's doing well, but anybody planning on working anything fun this weekend? Art related, I guess would be best. I'm trying to think for myself. I've got, I released a YouTube video today with Tally, which was a painting tutorial, which is a great and easy one to do. Oh yeah, Lorraine, you sent me yours on Instagram, I believe. Let me get me 1 second. But I don't know what I'm going to work on this weekend. I'm going to do one art project, but I haven't really thought about it too much yet. It's still early in the morning and I'm still waking up. Pat, you got yours on Instagram. All right, let's pull up the old Twitter sphere here. And might as well pull up the Instabam. There we go. All right, let's go to messages. Lorraine. It's so weird. So I've started to figure out that if you send messages through Facebook on Instagram desktop, it does not populate, which is a big pain in the butt. So I'll probably have to email it to myself. Let's see. Okay, so Pat, Pat, would you happen to be Zach by chance? Because I got one from Zach, which is the very tippy top of a mountain peak. If that's you, I can grab that. I'm hoping that's you because that makes it easy for me. And then Lorraine, yours is Smiley, right? Smiley. Oh my gosh. Middle name Zimmerman. There's a lot of M's, I's, and C's, and L's in that. Oh, and then this one's very pretty. Let's, I think you were Smiley, right? You're working on doing a painting of a prince? That's awesome. Oh, geez, which one do I want to do here? Probably the... Let's do this one here. Dune Pat. Okay, thank you. Let's see. Let me go under message requests. Scroll up to the top here. Let's do it on my phone, because I hate how it does this sometimes. All right, let's see. I am not seeing a message from Dune Pat on Instagram. Do you mind sending it to me again if you don't mind? Are you sure it was Instagram, not Twitter? Let me check Twitter really quick. Or was it a DM, or was it just a regular mention, like a message with a mention in it? Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Checking Twitter. I got so many messages. I got to catch up with all this stuff. It's such a pain in the butt. I got one from Crow. Crow, thank you for sending one, bud. Ryan Owens, like most people, I started with the BR style. The more I've painted, the less liquid white I've used, to the point where I hardly use anything apart from the sky. What are your thoughts on wet versus dry? I'd say perfectly fine. I actually do a lot of my paintings in a mixture, if you will, and I kind of agree. I use a lot of my liquid, I would say, depending on the type of landscape I'm doing. Sky, definitely, because I still enjoy blending beautiful gradients in my sky. And probably on the bottom half of my canvas to do things like water, grassy hills, and probably snow. But I like to have some moderate toothing, which would be like the underexposed part of the canvas that's grabbing paint, be used for a lot of what I do. And it's funny, Ryan, beautiful name, by the way, because it's mine, is the more I've painted, the more I've come to realize that I actually like paint strokes in my painting. Before, I used to try to make things like smooth, almost like a picture, like you couldn't really tell the difference between a picture and a painting. But as I've gotten older and started experimenting with other types of art, I actually really, really enjoy paint strokes and knowing that it's a painting. So, and traditional painting has that kind of flow to it. You sent it to me in about 5-10 minutes. Okay, cool. And it was that one on Twitter or Instagram? I probably should have asked that. Oh no, I think you said Instagram. I probably could have read. It's so weird when you guys send me messages. It's like it doesn't come through sometimes. Yes, please send it to me, and then we'll get it going from there. But we can start with Baby, and then I got one from Lorraine, and then we'll kind of get going from there. That way we can get everything rolling. And if you guys do send me one, please let me know. That way I don't miss anything. Or you can always email me too if you need me to email you, or email me. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to email you. You email me. You got to do some of the work. We'll get it rolling and a bowling. Okay, so let's load up a Baby here. What are you currently working on now, Ryan? Like what landscape are you working on? Let's move my phone to the side so it does not distract me. Hey, what's up, Peta? How you doing there today? Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Okay, so let's switch on over to... Oh, that's the wrong one. There we go. Let's switch on over to this screen right here to show off Baby's beautiful artwork. Now, before I do anything, of course, let's duplicate this. Let me switch my brushes. We're gonna do some red for bad. We'll do a nice little dark green for maybe things that might be good. Hey, what's up, that YouTube channel? How you doing there today? And let's zoom in really quick, and we'll move it over here to the side. And we'll just pull this up and down. We got a beautiful blue sky with mountains, background trees, nice little lake that goes into a river surrounded by foliage with many, many bushes and many, many twigs and stems. And this is looking good. I love this blue. This is a beautiful, vibrant blue. This almost looks like a mixture between phthalo in ultramarine. I just love blues. Blues are obviously my favorite color because it's the color of my eyes. But I love just blue. I'm such attracted to it. Kevin Hill has great tutorials. Very good tutorials. He's an excellent painter. He sometimes does classes here in California. I would love to take one from him, but it seems like he's done less and less, obviously, due to COVID and ever since he had a child. So one of these days, maybe. I'd love to take lessons from so many people. It's nice to learn different approaches, different techniques from different artists out there. It really helps you expand your tools and techniques in your mind to be, I don't know, a little more experimental and have fun. All right, let's take a look at this beautiful picture done by Baby. Now, what we do here is we're going to take a look at the painting, give a little bit of critique, a little bit of feedback, and help on things that maybe Baby didn't notice. If you want to give some feedback and critique, you're more than welcome to. We're an open forum here. Have fun. If you want to say something to me, just put @WildCreates, type the @ sign, then WildCreates, so that way it'll highlight in the chat for me. Or you can do the same thing with Baby, so that way she knows that you're talking to her. And just be nice. We're all here to help each other grow. We're all learning. We're all here to motivate each other as we continue. Now, let me tear this painting apart. Actually, Baby, this is very good, and I love to see the progress that you're making, but I've noticed some very basic mistakes again, and some things that you've improved upon. And the first thing I've noticed that you started to do a little bit here is you've added the focal points of making your corners darker, which creates that vignette appeal, which you're starting to do a little bit better. The last few paintings, you kind of just pulled your sky down, and it was a very flat 2D shape. And when you're an artist, you have the power to, hold on, there we go, got to go the opposite way, of making focal points. And one of the things you can do with focal points is contrast. The eye is attracted to generally the brightest spot in a painting. It's a survival, or in anything actually, it's a survival mechanism. So when you darken out your corners, you're actually pulling attention here to the center of your painting, or more or less to the center of your painting. So I would say, good job here. But your brushstrokes are kind of a little brash to where you could smooth these out. Remember, when you cross stroke things in, or circular stroke things in, or stipple things in, or whatever technique you want, generally you want to even out your brushstrokes so everything's in the same direction, more or less, unless you're going for a more impasto brushstroke kind of look. And you just got some patchiness going up here in, let's make this a bigger brush, going up here in your corners. So make sure next time when you come up here and you do your sky and you're cross-stroking and cross-stroking and cross-stroking and cross-stroking, that you eventually take your brush, a nice big 2-inch brush or a nice clean 1-inch brush, whatever you feel comfortable with, and just brush back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That way, everything in your sky will be smooth. If you're going for that approach, that is. But I love how you pulled your darks to your lights. Like, you see how much better this looks from your past paintings you've done with us? There's more dimension, there's more depth within this painting, which gives it already more characteristics. So great job. Yeah, I know paint dries super fast, which means it's good to work in sections. So if you know that you're gonna add gradients and stuff like that, it's best to know that you're like, okay, so I'm gonna add a section here, I'm gonna add a section here. Okay, so now I gotta pull this down and across. So just work on this section first, and then work on this section and pull that down across, and then you can take a big 2-inch brush real quick and go over here. You can do this all within like kind of 45 seconds, so your paint won't dry too quick. Just planning it out ahead and knowing what you're going to do before that brush hits the canvas helps a ton. But I'm glad to see you're making the improvements there. Alrighty, so your mountains are a little bit better. We still have triangular problems, but I do love and appreciate how you listen to me and how you have made things more simplistic, and it really, really shows the improvement here. So if you haven't been here before, we've done a couple of babies, or I don't know, a couple, maybe 1 or 2. Let's just say that's probably a couple or a pair. I always get bummed when people are like, a couple means less than 3. I'm like, well, just leave me alone. I mean more than 1. People get on you. So I love the simplicity you put here. Look, you want up, down, and swooped away. These are way better, way more simplistic that you're doing. However, you still need to make them a little more natural-esque, if you will. The problem with a beginning painter is we do still a lot of things in straight lines. Now, I appreciate you added a little bump here, but for the sake of argument, this is pretty much a straight line up, straight line over, very straight line up, and then straight line down. And again, you've created straight lines here and here. And it's not bad. It's just very basic, okay? So what I would like to see from you in the next painting is, instead of making straight lines, have a little jiggle in your hand, have a little inconsistency in your brush. That actually adds to the natural characteristics of the mountain, of the rock formation, and all that stuff. So when you're coming up, it's okay to, you know, that was a horrible line. I don't know how to paint with a mouse, okay? I'm sorry. You can come up, go, like add some bumps, come down, swoop up, kind of come down, and then when you come over to the sides, you can swoop out, because we're going to fade this out anyways because you got these other elements. But when you add these other bumps and jags in here, when you come down and across with your highlight side here, it's going to look more natural. So that way you can put in your shadow on this side and swoop, and shadow on this side and swoop, and then add your highlights coming down and across. And it's still simplistic because we have those two things, but you just got to add in the little extra bumps, because that's going to give you the definition of making it look like a mountain that's in the distance. When it's too straight, it's too jarring, you know? You sent one on Instagram? Okay, cool. Remind me after this one, Ryan, so that way I can grab it, bud. I started mountains, they were small, and I try to add bumps when I grow. So just remember that for next time. When make your small mountains, because you can always add on the outside if you're not happy, obviously. It's a bitch to carve away and scrape off the paint. So just go in there and add some bumps. And just concentrate on one. I generally start, it's not really the right way or wrong way. For some reason, I like to start with my middle mountain. Like, let's say if I was going to do 3 mountains, I don't know why. I always feel comfortable creating my middle mountain first. And then I feel more comfortable adding my mountain that goes in front of that mountain next. And then for some reason, I'll take my small palette knife or an angled shader and add like a small background mountain. I don't know why that's why I work. Generally, it's easier to work from the backest to the middleest to the foregroundest one. You know, those terms of words if you want to. But just concentrate like on this mountain here and pretend it was going like that. And be like, okay. Now I'm going to take, I know I want a mountain like, let's just say like up to here. So now I'm going to take, let's take this and swoop up and then come down like that, okay? So just concentrate at one mountain at a time. You may have gone and trying to do it all at once where you're like up, down, and over. And sometimes just doing too much too fast isn't good for you. I would know, it's kind of like me in bed. You don't want it to be over too quickly. What is up, Kim Caster? How you doing there today? How's it been going on with you? You do the same with your mountains too? A lot of people do. Mountains can be intimidating to some degree. You still need a little help on your highlight side here. You've got some mud mixing going on. If your paint is drying fast, I would work in smaller sections. Take an angled shader or your palette knife, and you can just like tap in some color, and add some breaks as you come down and across, and that'll help separate your mountain out a lot. You've got too big of a definition between your shadow side and your highlight side. So if you add a little bit of color over on this side, it'll look like light is wrapping over and across that mountain or squeaking through some of the crevices and cracks. And also you need to blend out a little bit more of the bottom here because you can see the patchiness of your canvas. But the one thing that you are doing good is you're creating these separational layers. Like, look how this white separates from the sky to the mountain, and then look how the base of your mountain with this white here, which could be interpreted as light pollution, light reflection, low-hanging fog, maybe even a cloud, depending on the day of the environment this painting is happening in. You've got these beautiful layers of separation happening here now. You're starting to grow your repertoire as an artist, and you're making smart decisions, and it's really helping out a lot. You sent your Lighthouse painting last week on Instagram. If you can get to the review, that you may have to send it to me again because it may have gotten pushed down from all the other messages that came to me YouTube channel, but I'll do my best to take a look at it here, okay? Just remind me at the end. It's always easier when people remind me at the end, but thank you. I appreciate it. Mountains are tough. Mountains are tough and fun. They're rewarding and also heartbreaking. Yeah, the shadow line doesn't have to be in the middle. Most people think when you make a peak like that, they're like, okay, I'm just going to draw a line here. This side is highlight. This side here is shadow. What I always like to do is I turn over my palette knife And I just like to draw on a line. So I'll be like, okay, it carves down in this way, and then this side will all be highlight. And then maybe I'll take a little bit and carve up, and then carve down here. And I'm like, okay, now this is highlight too. And now I have formed my mountain to have two distinct striations, if you will, if that's the right word, to come down. And now there's shadow that kind of cuts down in here. And now I've made another one that kind of cuts down in here. And you're like, well, what do I do in this section that's over here? Basically, this line would continue over, but it would fade out really quickly. And it's okay because this can have no detail because maybe it's so far in the background that it's not really showing. But now you've added multiple layers to this one mountain, which is kind of moving your line and adding jags to it. Okie dokie. So let's go to our tree line. Fantastic. It almost looks like this background layer is like black gesso that you painted over. It looks beautiful. It adds a real strong dimensional shape. And then when you add in this next tree line, it looks like it's in front of it. So you built very, very good multiple layers within a small space. Great job. Beautiful tree trunk scratches or like one single stroke of your hairbrushes, adding what looks like either spaces between your trees, which would happen in nature, or tree trunks. If it was tree trunks, I would probably minimize some of these. That's a fuck ton of trees back there. But very, very well. And good job putting the reflection in the water that represents your trees. Now, the only thing you want to do, and this is going to be tough since it is acrylic paint, baby, is you can take a little bit of water, take a damp brush, and a 2-inch brush or a 1-inch brush, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Damp your brush, and then if you got like a spare towel, just kind of like push it down and into the towel there so there's only a little bit of water. Then take that brush, and I want you to push the bottom of the bristles here, let the bristles bend, and then I want you to pull down and swoop and fade away. And what that's going to do really quick is it's going to add streaks into this reflection here. It's going to pull streaks, and then you can very lightly come across, and that's going to give the illusion of water. The problem you're having here is you have as much definition in your lake reflection as you do technically in your trees, and that wouldn't really happen unless this was the most calmest, most stillest, most glass reflected water. This would be like Canadian water lake style. But I know that's not happening because you have added a waterfall here, which means water is technically going this way, so there wouldn't be a strong reflection. There would be a soft reflection because it's in the distance and it's technically moving water. So just do that pull, blend it out, and then your water lines are fine. I would probably blend your water lines a little bit too to fade them out in a way. Reason being is these shouldn't be as strong as these. This right here is a foreground element. This right here is a background element. So my eye should have more focus here and have more detail there. Again, just go over very lightly with a brush and just blend. You could even, hold your coffee, just sit there and just let a couple of hairs hit it every now and then, and it'll slowly just blend in, blend in, blend in, blend in, blend in, and then just go, oh, that's good, that's good. Hey, what's going on, Oscar? How you doing there tonight, man? You love the fog, you haven't messed up fog. Fog's actually pretty easy to create, provided you have a little foresight and you know where it's gonna go. Because the problem is I do this all the time too. Generally, it really helps if you use a reference image, so that way you know where to pull the elements in your painting to certain areas and stop. When I don't use a reference image, I'll fill in so much stuff with color that when I have to add a layer on top of a layer on top of a layer, I'm like, oh man, I've already got too many colors going on here and it's not going to work to the way I want. And then it becomes like a mush of colors, And you probably have the same problem to some degree. All right, let's back this out. Yeah, glass water with the waterfall. I mean, it can happen technically if it was very cold and very clean and clear water, but I'm just saying. Alrighty. You did a really good job with this tree here. Very good. Very good. You've established that your highlight is from the right because of our mountain, and you did a good job of putting the highlight on your tree on the correct side. This is the world's worst arrow that I just drew. Oh my gosh. Yes, I'm an artist. Good job. This thing's full. Technically, your highlight should probably have some color in it. The scene doesn't really call for white. Adding a little bit of yellow, reds, and oranges onto your trees would probably be a little bit better, because I don't know why. I feel like this is the changing of the seasons. Things are warming up a little bit, perhaps, and nothing else really has snow on it. Even here, it's like kind of more like like melted slush, and I feel like it wouldn't be on a tree. So maybe adding a little bit of color to it would help it stand out. Tree is good. Background tree over here is good as well. Let me change the color here to red. The biggest problem I have here for your elements is the way that you shaped the land is almost like there is a big ball here, technically a pond, I guess, and then you just took your paint and you just kind of carved out a section without really thinking about it. So you have very circular motions here, and that doesn't happen the way that you think in nature. You need to realize that building layers sometimes requires, I don't even know how to say this. Building layers requires the fact that you build layers, okay? So when you're building a layer, you don't build it all as one section like this, okay? You would build a layer, let me switch colors, you build one layer like that. Then, if you want to make this a circle, you would build another layer like that. Then, another layer like that, and another, and then maybe your last one comes way out here. And now you've created this circle effect in here with this edge going like that, all because you built these multiple layers. And when you build these multiple layers down here in the lower left-hand corner, let me get me out of the way, now you've really started to push the scene back. Okay, and this bottom layer here would be bigger because it's in the foreground. In fact, actually, you could probably take this layer and bring it down and across like that, and it would really encapsulate this little pond or river or whatever you want to call it. And you would do the same thing on the opposite side here. Now you would have a layer that comes this way, and then maybe one that comes this way, and then this layer that holds in the waterfall like that. And again, now you've created this little cove section by having this circular angle, but you've had more layers that you've built. Okay, the problem you have is you just have a big giant circle here, and it looks off balance. You've basically made this lower half of the painting a very two-dimensional image, when your job as the artist is to take a 2D element and make it look like it has 3D elements in it. All right. And I think one of the things that would really help is you kind of did it here. You kind of did it here is with your tree, which I love this trunk, by the way. I love how you have the highlights on the correct side, is you did technically try to build a layer right here. You've got these little, let's just say it's posies, these flowers. But you know what would have really separated this out is you have all this beautiful dark right here, all this beautiful dark, which leaves you a big, huge opportunity to pull a layer right in front of it, just like that, okay? And then now your tree has somewhere to sit on, and now it's being separated from this background layer, which is holding this waterfall up, and then you could build another layer in front of this at some point. And now you've built 3 layers that's gonna look more natural for the environment. You still have a little bit of mud mixing going on, so I would say probably simplify it next time, which is adding a little bit of grass. But I do appreciate whatever these are. I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to be mean. I just don't know what these elements are. I don't know if these are flowers, bushes, certain shrubbery. But sometimes when you have too many of the same thing, it can get away from you quickly, which is why you have all these mishmash of highlights and everything like that. Also, the last little note I would give a baby is you don't have any of this cemented in reality. I don't know what these bushes. Get away. I don't know what these bushes are sitting on because you didn't put any water lines. You didn't put any river banks here. You're probably going to notice it now. Like, technically, I guess these bushes could overgrow into the water, but that wouldn't be true on everything. You need to add a couple of water lines on the side here, or maybe put a little bit of dirt scratching in here, so that way it looks like there's different sections and patches. Because when you look at water, since water rises and evaporates and then descends, and water has movement and erodes certain sections, if you ever look at a river or if you ever look at a lake, usually everything around it is barren, okay? for the sheer reason that water rises, water falls. So it nourishes things and then dies or kills things when it recedes. So you'd have a bunch technically of like little riverbanks here, which is just take a little bit of brown, swoop it in towards the riverbank in whichever general direction you need to go, and then take a mixture of like titanium white, Van Dyke brown, or maybe just a little bit of yellow ochre, or a little bit of any CAD yellow out there, like medium hue, regular hue, light hue, and just put little blips on top of that brown that'll mix into it, and then it's going to look like there's different rocks and different formations that have been eaten away by years of erosion, and it'll look beautiful. And then you've cemented what your bushes are sitting on, and you've cemented that your water is perfectly within an element of a painting because you've established that there's land here that the water is sitting in. You could place some rocks or boulders. I actually really like rocks and boulders. I suck at I suck at boulders, but I'm pretty decent at rocks. In my mind, rocks are smaller, boulders obviously bigger. So I mean, you could put like a little rock here, maybe a rock or two here, or you can even have one like kind of pop out of the water and then little water lines go around it and have fun, you know? There's a ton of things you can do here. However, for as many as like simple mistakes you're making so many more improvements, and I'm so lucky that I get to see all this beautiful stuff that you're doing. Your background elements are starting to become way better. Your mid-ground elements are starting to become way better. You still need a little help on your foreground element. And the reason that's okay is because the foreground elements are the hardest, okay? Background elements don't need much detail. Middle ground elements are pretty small elements in the painting, so you don't need to spend as much time on them. Foreground elements have details. They have saturations. They have vibrances. They have contrast. And the eye notices that more, which means you, I, everybody in this awesome community, your viewers, your people that walk by your art are going to notice that a little bit more. So we're a little more critical of those points. And I'm glad to say that the background and middle ground you're doing huge improvements on, and the foreground we just need to tweak those every so often. But you're starting to get way better, and I love it. Thank you for sharing your art, baby. This is that was awesome. That was super awesome. You nailed it. You're getting like so much better with your art. It's like blowing my mind. You need some help on the bottom of the landscape, you get lost, and that's understandable. It's understandable. I should move that light over to the other side. The problem is, like most people, is use a reference photo. It really helps out a ton. It really, really does. That way you won't get lost. You won't get confused. You won't feel upset when you make mistakes because you're just trying to mimic something or you have an influence from something. Yeah, your waterfall was fun. If I didn't say anything about it, obviously there was nothing like super good about it or there was nothing super bad about it. I think it was good. I mean, if I go back to it right here, click camera on me, it's fine. It's good. I mean, for what it is, it's fine. You got a nice little swoop-a-doop going on. You got some water churning down here. I would probably add a few more strokes because there'd be more motion north stop, but for what it is, it's great. It's good. You should be very proud. Very proud. Alrighty, let me grab Pat's. All right, send a new one on Instagram. Oh, and look, Pat, it's right here, my friend. Let's see here. Yeah, so it has the message from last time. It must have just gotten pushed all the way down to the bottom. I got a lot of women hitting me up on the Insta-bam. Nah, it's just my mom. It's just my mom. You're worried that he'll pick a painting that sucks for reference. It's okay. Just use it as an influence. I use a lot of crappy. I wouldn't consider crappy because that's mean. I would say I use a lot of basic paintings for elements and ideas that I like to use, and then you just add your own flair. It's fine. Alrighty. Pat, on yours, it looks like there's two. Is it the same? No, it can't be the same painting. Which one would you like me to do, Pat, for yours? There's one that's like a more vibrant blue. But I think it's an unfinished painting because it looks like you're putting a background rock element in there. Or the bottom image, which is a more mute blue. Which one are you more interested in? And then somebody else was going to send me one. And then somebody said hello and I missed it. I'm sorry. Let me scroll back up here. Oscar, there we go. Oscar sent one on Twitter last time. Pick the best one, perhaps. Okay, let me see, Oscar. You may have to send it again because I get a lot of Twitter messages that push things out of the way. The vibrant one? Okie dokie fanoki. And let me just grab that. And we'll label that Pat. There we go. Thank you for sharing, Pat. All right, but we do have Lorraine first. I do YouTube members first. That's the perk that you get. So let's go on to Lorraine's, and I'm very excited to see what Lorraine has for us because she's been also increasing hers. You sent yours on IG? Or let me grab that. Let me see if that one came through on mobile side. I got the one from Pat. Oh, Ryan Owens. Okay. Why is it not pulling up request side on... Here, I'll just email this one to myself. Is there no such thing as requests anymore on desktop for Instagram? Oh, you know what I could do? Accept. There we go. That'll probably work. Ryan Owens. Oh, cool. It doesn't show the photo. God, Instagram, just allow your program to be used on top. All right, well, I guess I'll just download it here. 1 second, please. Photo saved. And let me just email it to myself really quick. Give me 1 second, fam. All right, send painting. All right, cool. Okie dokie finoki. All right, I see that YouTube channel sent me one. Thank you, Ben. See, that one came through. Must be something with YouTube messages. No, but I can grab yours here. Or I don't know if we did yours, YouTube channel. But let me grab it really quick. Because you are a member, so you have next. All right, let's take a look here. As we swap it over to Lorraine's, let's duplicate this layer really quick. Zooms in, move it over here so everybody can see it. This is a beautiful painting. I really like this. This is awesome. So this is Lorraine's, and we've got a nice, beautiful forest scene here with great perspective as it comes forward. I remember this tutorial from Bobby Ross. We got a beautiful little like riverbank brook that's babbling all across that falls in to a little small waterfall, and then a little bit of water down here at the bottom. This is very beautiful. I love it. This black canvases are one of my favorites. They are fantastic. Didn't want to really minimize it that much, but okay. Not that big. There we go. So let's start with the top here, Lorraine. Fantastic. Just beautiful. You should be very proud of this one. I love the depth that you built with the moodiness of the black gesso, then patching in some phthalo green in the back, and then just streaking it across to create the illusion of different depths of light cascading through foliage of trees, which would create all these background effects and layers in here. And you just did a great job. Great job. I'm going to get a smaller brush. There we go. So this is probably oil. In fact, it looks like it is most definitely by the foreground elements. I love the greens too. These are beautiful. The only thing I think you could do that would probably make this a little bit easier to build a little bit more depth, and it could be. It's a little hard for me to tell. So Lorraine, you fill in the blank. Oh, this is actually acrylic? Oh, I wouldn't have guessed from these foreground elements. These looked a little oily with the blending that they have. Well, if it's acrylic, then never mind what I was going to say. I was going to say you could probably put in different colors of gesso here. If you take black gesso and then take a little bit of white, mix it with black, you'll get like a darker gray to black gesso. And you could put in different trees here. And what that does is it makes it look like there's different depthnesses, if that's a word even, but we're making it one. Different depthnesses of trees that are happening in the background here. When you add a little bit of white, it's going to make it look like some of these trees that come out of the background are really in the background there. And it's just a cool little effect you can do for the next time you paint something like that. That's the only reason I bring it up. Excuse me, I'm like a little bird pickup there. The only reason I mention is because even though these trees that you have going on here, Lorraine, why is my brush so big? Take this down to like an 8. For all these trees you have going on in the background here, the only thing that kind of makes them not as powerful is they all look like they're all on the same plane. So it doesn't look like there's a lot of differences in depth between them. So we can do one of two things. You can either use those different acrylics that you can mix up, or those different colored gessos from black and white, or gray and white, or gray and black, which will make it look like there's more depth to it. Or a simple technique is if you just want to stick with black. So for like this tree right here, just make this a thicker tree, and then make one of these trees really thin, and then maybe like another tree over here kind of medium, and then maybe another tree over here, let's just say a little thicker. And now you've created depth in your painting, because our eye is naturally going to think, since this tree is bigger than this tree, and this tree is bigger than this tree, and this tree is bigger than this tree, that this tree's a little closer, this one's a little further away, this one's a little further away, and this one is really far away, because of those different thicknesses of the trunks. And then you can do the same thing with the branches as you build forward. It's a little more of an advanced technique, but I just want to bring it to your attention for the next time you paint an element like this. And that's just going to help you build separational layers. All in all, fantastic, good, love it, great job. Your grass is great. No really big critiques in it. The only critique I could probably give, let's see here. You establish that your highlight is on the right side, okay? So what you'd probably want to do is make sure that your highlight shapes with our sun cascading in. Since our sun is coming technically like this and technically like this, you would want to add a little more highlight on the sides that are exposed more to our sun. Okay, you did a fantastic job on the right. Like you had these little layers, you had these little layers, you had these little layers, these little layers. Perfect. On this side, you have some highlight over here, which it technically should be hitting a little bit more over here. And I would add a little bit more separation between the two. So for instance, if you added highlight here, I would add a little bit more dark here, which you did very, very well. You add these two layers perfectly. So then you need to keep that thing going. So then add a highlight layer here, and then leave a little bit more shadow in here. And then add a little highlight, let's just say here, and then a little bit more shadow up in here. And this is really gonna help build the planes and make it feel like there's more depth in this painting, pushing the elements back in it. You'd also, this is another advanced technique, you would want to put more shadow behind your tree trunk here, because remember, your light's coming in here, this tree is blocking it, so there should be a lot more dark here. Same thing with these if you wanted to. You should be putting more dark green paint here and dark green paint here, because our tree is blocking the light coming in from that side. That's a very advanced technique. Don't worry about it. What you got here is fantastic, but just putting it out there on the radar for when you paint something like this next time. You struggle with, sorry, I just punched my microphone. I struggle with grass in oil. I can accomplish it flat with liquid clear and pulling the landscape instead, but I struggle making it look like that. Grass can be tough. And I struggle with it a lot of times too. And it's probably because you have a vision in your mind, it doesn't come close to it. If you want to get really good at grass, the easiest way that I have found, is do a black canvas like this. And when you put on your dark green color, and then you add other colors on top of it, something about the way it has that contrast appeal allows your eye to visualize how the land is flowing a little bit more. That contrast makes it easier, at least from my personal experience, to build layers. Since you have a dark layer that you're starting with, it's much easier for you to look at it and go, oh, okay, my light source here, we'll do it together. You go, oh, my light source is right here. Here's my beautiful little happy sun. And it's cascading down this way and down this way. It's easy for your mind to go, oh, since I have this dark element that I'm working with, okay, well, let's just tap in some lighter yellow and green here. Tap in some yellow and green here and yellow and green here. And just stop. And just stop. Pull yourself away and you go, oh, okay, now I kind of see it. Okay, now I kind of see it. Okay, let me add a little more yellow here, and I'm gonna build this layer, and then it's gonna stop, and then you know what? I'm going to leave dark green here, dark green there, and then I'm gonna take a little bit more yellow, and then build here, and then that fades out. Okay, now I got my tree here. Let's add a little bit of yellow, or actually, let's add a little bit of yellow here, because that's where the sun would hit, and then I'm gonna have more dark. Now I've separated this layer out. And now I can pull all this dark here. And since I know I'm going to put these little flowers here, I'm going to build all the highlight right here. And it's just so much easier to do for some reason on a darker canvas, because when you have a white canvas and a bunch of blank space, everything just looks too bright. And you're just like, I don't see where shadows are going to be. It's hard to see where highlights are going to be because everything's already white and blown out. It just becomes difficult. But on a black canvas, it's easier for the eye. At least that's my personal experience. Alrighty. Let me get that layer back. Let me take a look here at the water that we got. Lorraine. I think it's good. I think the only thing that you probably need a little help with, and it's tough, is some of these rocks are kind of hard to make out, and it might just be kind of the brush that you have. Using a smaller filbert or square around, or even an angled shader, really helps when you put in like the swoops that you want. The only thing I would say is, as you get closer from this rock to this rock to this rock to this rock, and then to technically these are all in the same plane right here, I would start to add a little bit more like detail in them. Like these background ones are fine. They shouldn't have much detail because maybe water's wrapping over and across them. But they all look very similar here. So I would try to separate out by adding a little more jags and edges into it. I love this rock right here. This one's my favorite. This one's like, fuck you, water. I'm standing out. It looks great. It looks very, very good. You did a fantastic job on this one. As we get closer to, this is another advanced technique. All of your grass looks very similar from the midground to technically our foreground. If I was Lorraine, I would probably spend a little more time tapping out and making these elements look a little more smoother. So that way when I got to this foreground element here, we're going to see a little bit more of the grass, okay? Because now it's in the foreground, we're actually starting to see weeds and grass and reeds and all these different little, fauna things kicking out. Is fauna the right word? Foliage, whatever it is. And also I would probably, as I got like right here, Lorraine, I would take a fan brush with a little bit of loose green or loose yellow on it and just like push. Let me get the camera up here. I would push in just a little bit and then flick just like that. Push in. So your fan brush comes in like that, technically. Boop. So like that. Let them bend just a little bit and just pull up and flick. Pull up and flick. And what that's going to do is it's just going to add little grass elements. Or actually, we could do it this way. Doot, doot, doot. It's just going to add all these little grass elements. That's going to look beautiful covering up your tree trunk. Just like that. It could even cover up a little bit of your rock. Just like that. Then when you build this layer of moss, low-hanging spider crawlies, I forget what these are called in nature. They're like spiderweb plants or something like that. And those hang over. It's going to be cool because you got these motions of grass growing out and behind. Your moss could be a little bit darker. Your highlights on the moss should be a little bit brighter. I can tell you had some mud mixing right here. Not as much right here. It looks like I'm going to take a shot in the dark. Let me switch back over. Don't go away, camera. Come back. Baby, come back. It looks like you started with this side first and then went over to this side and tried to use the same brush and less color. Don't be afraid to use more color and paint, because you can tell there's a big difference between the mud mixing on this one and this one. Like this looks great. Look, you can see the cliff underside with the bush coming over and across, and then you're like, fuck, I forgot I need to do one more. I'm running low on paint and I don't want to waste it, so I'll try to get away with the same stuff. It's like your rock is not as vivid and bright, and then all of the mutiness of the brown underneath is shining through because you didn't use enough green and highlight. So just be like, hey, okay, I rocked this one right here. I got to mimic this one by using the same amount of paint and a cleaner brush. And the only thing I would kind of critique on is you can see blue in your water, okay? You got this beautiful blue, and you've got the brown leaking into the blue, which is what happened. There would be mud and all the rock underneath. But since you've established the blue, you need to put that blue in here, okay? You went from like a blue, phthalo blue, to a very strong and diluted phthalo green with yellow and brown in it, which is fine technically if you would have added that up in here. But if I was you, you could add that phthalo green here, or you can, okay, let me say this correctly. You can either add the phthalo green water here on top, or you can add it here on bottom. However, you need to make sure that you also add the blue on top or the blue on bottom. And it's going to show the transition of color of the refraction that would happen within it. Both can work. Both will give a different appeal. Technically, the lighter would be on the bottom, and the darker would be near the top. But you can flip and do it. It just depends on how the light would hit it, technically. But if I was you, I'd actually probably cheat, and I'd probably have to put the darker on the outside, so that way your focal point would be technically in the center. But that's it. Lorraine, this is, god damn, this is beautiful. I love this. Your trees are fine. I love the trees. These are beautiful. The only mistake you kind of made is maybe getting a little heavy-handed on some of the birch bark that you did. But you did beautiful. One of my favorite things, I'm gonna sing your praises here real quick, Lorraine, and you should be proud of this. You should give a little chip off your shoulder here. Is, may I just say, beautiful job on not making trees that are just straight lines like that. I mean, everybody should take notice here. This is a great job, and everybody should say congratulations to Lorraine. Look at Lorraine and how she was smart and inquisitive and added these like breaks and loose parts in her tree. Look. I know it looks stupid when you first put in your brush strokes, but when you add like little swerves and curves and all these different things, it just makes your tree look like it has these gnarls and bumps and bruises and cracks and edges, and it makes it look more natural. I mean, look how beautiful of a job you did on those, Lorraine. They're awesome. So when you put your highlights in them, they look natural. They look real. They look like they have just characteristics to it. It looks like the trees tell stories. You need help on your leaves. It looks like you just took a fan brush and just literally just went splat, 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 splat. But you know what? Leaves are fucking tough. They are super tough, and they can get away with them with mud mixing really quickly. And also you got a little heavy-handed with your branches in the background. I would say probably do a little less and a little bit lighter on those. But branches are tough. Leaves are tough. You should be very proud. This is a fantastic painting. A fantastic painting, Lorraine. I'm actually stoked for you. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. I would say you did such a good job on this one, Lorraine, that I wouldn't say repaint it like I give advice for most people. I would say take this style of painting and paint something that's exactly like it, that uses the same elements, but in something new. Like do the black canvas, do the background trees, do grass, do a little bit of water if you want, do your foreground trees, but build a little bit different of a landscape so that way it's challenging and fun for you, but it's going to allow you to use those same elements and hone and refine your skills so that way you can improve on those things that you're still struggling with. You sold this painting? Oh, I'm so proud of you. Now I'm even more stoked for you, girl. That's fucking awesome. Congratulations. I'm glad that you guys are selling your art. Zach, I'm still on Bob Ross. I'm still on the Bob Ross included paint that came with my master set. I ordered some Gamma 1980s and some Winsor Newton titanium white. Wow, it suggested, hell yeah, Zach. Hopefully use the links in my channel. Those links help me out. It costs you nothing more. But it helps support my channel because I get a little bit of an affiliation sale from it, which helps me earn a little bit of an income to keep bringing you guys these reviews and doing more videos, and it allows me to buy supplies so that way I can do this for you. So thank you, Zach. I appreciate it, and you did use them. Okie dokie Finoki. We can go on to the next one here. Lorraine, thank you for allowing us to take a look at your art, and thank you for giving us the moment to see the awesomeness that is you. Alrighty. Who was next? Oh, it was YouTube channel. YouTube channel is next because he is also a YouTube channel member. So YouTube channel members gets first crack, as always. So let's grab you, dude. Itchy nose. Sorry. I feel like I have a cut right under the bridge of my nose, and it's bothering me so much, and I don't even know how I would have got it. Like it, not like I would shave that. I just use a trimmer for my mustache part. My mustache. Get a link for Blickerick. Do you mean Blick acrylic paint? You'll use it? What let me know what brand of acrylic paint you use, and then I'll see what I can do. I'm a Blick affiliate. They asked me to sign up with them, and I did. So I do get affiliation sales from Blick when people click on it. But you'd have to let me know what Blick supplies you're getting from them, because they're just a warehouse. So they have like Liquitex, Golden. Those are the only two acrylic brands I can think off the top of my head. Why is it that? Oh, I mean, technically Winsor Newton makes acrylic paint as well. You have the Gamblins. Or wait, does Gamblin? I think Gamblin might be oil only. I could be wrong. Super excited? Nah, don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. Be nervous when I start tearing into this, but I'm gonna tear you down and build you up here in a second. You do that sometimes in your sleep? What do you do in your sleep? Scratch your nose? Shave your mustache? And I'm glad you love these videos. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. All right, let's switch over to YouTube channel. All right, here we go. So this one is obviously based on The Lighthouse from Bob Ross, which I may say, you got some balls, sir. Or madam. I'm not sure what YouTube channel is. I don't assume genders. Everybody is welcome here in my beautiful art world as I tear them down and across. This is a very tough painting, but also, I would say a very humbling painting as well. Okay? So the cool thing about when you try this painting here is you're going to learn a lot, because it's going to break your soul, because it has just so many things. So many things. So we got the Lighthouse painting here. Goes from two different vibes. It gives you a moody vibe to a cold and despair to a warm flow with the moon and the lighthouse here. You got your water scene, and this is only half the painting because we have the land, but we don't have the enclosure of the cliffs nor the house that attaches to the lighthouse. And then we got the water. So we got a lot going on here. So let's take a look here really quick. As I'm about to review this, if you could YouTube channel so that way I could help refine some of my critiques for you. Can you let me know, give me 1, 2, 3 things that you struggled most with? And if you can, short answers and specific answers. Something like, oh, the paint wouldn't stick, or, you know, blah, blah, blah this, or blah, blah, blah that. Obviously, I know you had a hard time with the lighthouse and the land. I can get that on my own, but I just want to know some other things so that way I can kind of refine it for you. All right, number 1 is, I don't think this is a canvas. Is this a canvas paper, perhaps? Might be canvas paper or canvas panel. It's hard to tell. I don't really know what this edge is here. It looks like it's tape, which makes me think that it's canvas paper that's taped down, which is one of the first things I want to say. That might help them out. Yes, it is. Okay, I'm assuming it's canvas paper, and that's what the yes is. So when you have canvas paper isn't as porous as other elements that you'll paint on, which makes it great for many things, and not so great for some things. So with your canvas paper and you add gesso on it, you're really making the extra seal happen on there. India Metal Detecting, how are you doing this morning? So when you put your black acrylic on, or black gesso on top of it, YouTube channel, you've really sealed everything completely. So when you put your liquid clear or linseed oil, or whatever medium you're putting on top of that, you literally only need a little bit. So what I'd recommend is put your liquid clear on there, then grab a shop towel and gingerly go over the entire canvas and let the towel soak up everything that's kind of just sitting and bubbling on there on top of your canvas, okay? So that way you only have a little bit on. So that way when you add your colors on top that you have here, you're not going to have a problem with, you're not going to have an extra problem of mud, as much mud mixing. Trying to be pretty precise on my words. Not going to have a problem as much mud mixing. So now that we have the correct layers, or amount, sorry, of liquid clear, I was making a layer. It was on a pad, you don't have easel, that's fine. You can paint on whatever you have, buddy. That's fine, that's fine. You're having trouble with the water at the land, at the bottom. Okay. So now that we talked about the correct amount of color that, or sorry, the correct amount of liquid color, sorry, God, I'm getting ahead of myself. The correct amount of liquid clear, we need to make sure you put on the correct amount of colors, and you have. So we know that this is going to go from light to dark and also warm to cold, okay? So when you're putting your color on, you have to have the foresight of doing this. I would say if you paint this again, I would probably rotate this horizontally, so that way you have a little bit more to work with. Let's see, how do I switch? Image, rotation, like that. I would probably work on it this way, so don't pay any attention to this at the moment. And let's just say you had a horizon line that came across here, YouTube channel. Well, it's much easier to visualize now, even though it's not going to be in the rule of thirds, but since you're a beginning painter, we're going to break that rule. You go, okay, well now I've got this section here. I can put my cold all over here, and I can leave my warm for my high on my what do you call this thing? A lighthouse over here. And that's going to make it more simplistic for you. When you're starting out as a painter, many painters put the cart before the horse. You need to learn to walk before you can run. Yeah, we're going to pull a lot of sayings here. But when you can simplify things for you as an artist, it makes it way, way, way easier to where you build a lot more confidence. So that way, when you start doing more difficult things, they're not as intimidating. They're not going to turn out as crappy, and it's not going to be as demoralizing for you. I want you to build your skills, which is why I like to teach people very, very basic stuff at the beginning, because that way you'll be able to tackle harder things. So what I would say is rotate it. You're going to have more space to do your skies, and you're going to have a more balanced picture, okay? But we're going to work on this one here. So you want to put down your base colors first, okay? And you want to start with your sky. So only put down a little bit of color, and when you put down a little bit of color, put it down with a 1-inch brush and just do some cross strokes like this and slowly work out, okay? Just like that, just like that. Then take your cleanest, biggest, widest 2-inch brush and literally blend the crap out of it. Pull all the extra color out and feather everything with the same strokes. So that way there's only a little bit color left on your canvas pad. Then when you take your white paint with a 1-inch brush and you add in just some swoops and some strokes and some swoops and some strokes, just like that, you're going to get these small streaks of color that when you take your 2-inch brush and you go on top of this, you're going to get some awesome motions happening in your sky. And the thing you want to do is make sure you don't kill all of your sky by trying to fill it in with color. You tried to fill in this whole section right here with white paint to pull that phthalo blue or phthalo green forward so it stands out. And it kind of takes away from the painting, because now you have this kidney bean right here in the sky of color. Then you've got, whoops, I don't want that. I don't want you, go away, crop. Then you got this separational black layer here. And then you got, I got off my red here. Then you got this little, cut in of color here. You've created separations in your sky when there should be more transitions. So you need to work on your transitions of your gradients in your sky. And you have right now just sectional pieces that make it look too separate. If you go back and you look at Bob's, you'll see that he does a great job of creating the gradients in sky that pull from the right to left and left to right from the sky, and then the ambient light coming from the lighthouse. You just have right now too many sectional pieces. So I would say A great working exercise for you is even that tally painting that I did today, that I released today, YouTube channel. That's a very simple painting. It's 90% sky. So doing something like that, working on your dark color, the dark purple and black in the top left corner, then your reds, and then working on your oranges, then working on your yellows, then working on your whites. Learn to work on that gradient transition because it's going to show you how colors and motion go from one section to the next, okay? And you're going to be like, when you start painting, you're going to be like, oh shit, that's right. Yellow and red make orange. And I can see that transition of yellow to a starburst orange to the red. And you're like, oh, now it's making sense of how all this kind of transitions. So I need you to work on your transitional sections because it's really going to help pull your piece together. It's a fun painting. The best part about that, it's a very, very easy painting. Very easy painting, which is the next tutorials we have coming out from Tally, which are great. The good news is, dude, you did a great job right here on your horizon line. It's straight, which is good. Most people don't have that. Let's get this layer. Your clouds are okay. Your clouds are okay. The one thing you need to remember is this is difficult. Your light source is technically here. Now, I know you're saying, well, there's a light source here, which is the lighthouse, but this lighthouse is not hitting these clouds, which are, 3,652 feet away. It's not, I'm sorry. Your moon is your light source for your sky. So you have to make sure that when you scratch in these colors, I want you to do one thing. Scratch them in with like a fan brush. I'm going to do it here with my mouse and hopefully I do a good job, okay? Let's just say scratch in with a fan brush, just like that. Then take your 2-inch brush, or 1-inch brush, whatever you feel comfortable with, and just, I want green. Sorry, let me get green here. Then take your 2-inch brush or 1-inch brush and gingerly just cross stroke over it. And what that's going to do is it's going to take this cloud right here and it's going to start pushing it. Oh, will that not work? Oh, no, wait, that's the opacity of that. I need to change the opacity of the layer. It's going to push that cloud back just like that, where it's softer. Then I want you to take your same brush that you just did and add just little scratches right on top. And now you've created the highlight for that cloud and just gingerly brush over it again. So that way it gives it more dimension and shape. Super easy thing to do. Hey, what's up, Amanda? How you doing there today? How's everything going on with you? Hopefully you're doing well. And you just got to remember to do that. So if your cloud's on this side over here, you have to put your highlight on top of it over here. If your cloud's over here, technically your highlight would be on the bottom. So just remember that as you go forward. You always got to remember where your light source is. Don't worry about making your clouds pop. That's probably wrong. I should have asked you what number painting this is. If this is painting under number 10, don't worry about your clouds popping yet. Just worry about getting the basic structure and shape, because you can always add a little bit more paint on there to add the highlight, like I just said, and the way I just taught you is the easiest and most simplistic way to do it. But then as you get a little more paint structure, foundation elements in we can concentrate on the more advanced stuff. Your brush is probably getting contaminated so quickly because you probably had too much liquid clear on here, like I said before, because the non-porousness of the canvas paper or pad has that oil just sitting on top. So when you apply color on top of it, it's just making a loose paint. So when you take your brush across it with white, it's contaminating really quickly. So you guys are going to see my butt here in a second. Get yourself these. Right here. I have a big old bucket thing of this, You grab one of these shop towels here, the blue ones, put in a cloud, your brush is contaminated. Take your cloud brush, stick it in here, hold, pull. Just pull all that extra color out and it'll be stuck on here. Then go back and fill your white and do the next one. It's contaminated again. Okay, put it in here, grab, squeeze, pull. That's it. That's all you need to do. If you just admitted to me, you already know the mistake that you're having. So why aren't you correcting it? Like, now it all makes sense. You're like, I have trouble making my clouds stand out. Why? Well, you just told me why. My brush gets contaminated after I put on my first coat, or it gets contaminated too quickly when I try to do too many clouds. Okay, so do one cloud. Then when your brush is contaminated, clean it off. Then reload your brush with that clean brush, so now your white isn't contaminated, and then drop in your next cloud. Like, you already answered your question. You figured it out. You didn't need me. And this is why I say, like, when people watch Bob, they try to paint with Bob, you know? They try to keep up with them. They go, oh, well, Bob's doing this. Well, shit, I got to do this. Oh, here, I'm going to take my banana as my paintbrush, you know? They're just like, oh, I got to do this. Oh, my paintbrush is too contaminated, but Bob's moving on the next one. All right, fuck it. Let me just load up my paint. All right, oh, well, now it's not saying it's contaminated. It's like, no. There's a reason you can hit the pause button, you know? Bob would even say, he's like, you could record his, and he's like, you can paint it in your own time. It's like, just hit pause. Take your time. Just do. Oh, contaminated? All right, we'll just wipe that off real quick. Load my brush back up. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Now let me just continue that cloud. And boom. Yeah. All right. Well, I got more contaminated paint. I'll just wipe that off and reload the brush. It's like, dude, take your own time. Oh, this banana's looking good. I'm getting hungry. Greetings from Puerto Rico. Hey, buddy. What's up, Jose? How you doing there tonight? Or, no, I guess it would be this evening. Or Puerto Rico's probably 4 hours ahead of me. So, oh, that's only afternoon. I don't know why I'm thinking something different. Oh, I know you need me. Agony City's always knocking on my door. I know. Okay, let's continue back here. So I'm sorry. Oops, let me get back to the review. So I cannot critique the Lighthouse because I'm sorry. You shouldn't be doing, or actually I never got an answer on what number painting this is for you. But from your skills at the moment that I can see YouTube channel, don't do anything with a building. Buildings are the devil. I hate doing buildings because they take so much time, so much effort, and so much paint. I can tell you wasted a ton of paint on this element right here, and it's not even rewarding, okay? Number 8, yeah. I wouldn't say don't do buildings for a long time. It's just too demoralizing. So I'm not going to really critique, but I think you did a pretty decent job making it look like a lighthouse. What I really want to critique the rest of this on is your water, waves, and land, okay? Let's start with the background here. These are background elements. Background waves, background horizon. You only need a little bit of white. So take your blade and just tap in or scratch in just a little bit. Then take your 2-inch brush and gingerly just go back and forth with it. Back and forth with your 2-inch or 1-inch brush, whatever you feel most comfortable. And what's going to happen is it's going to push a little bit of that white paint into the phthalo blue or Prussian blue or whatever color you want to put under here. It's up to dealer's choice. And it's going to mix with that undertone and start pulling that color forward. What you did is you added way too much. And when you kill your black, you're really killing the illusion of moonlight hitting down onto these little sections of rolling waves and refracting in different sections. So only do a little bit of white in the background here, okay? Then as you work your way to the foreground, we can put in bigger strokes with a palette knife or a script liner or a fan brush, whatever you feel comfortable with, and then brush those a little less so they stand out more. And it's going to look like these waves are coming to our perspective of our foreground, all right? Your waves, in all honesty, aren't that bad. I think you did a pretty decent job. Waves are a little tough. If I could give you a little bit of a tip, take a script liner brush or filbert brush with some diluted white or whatever color you feel comfortable with. And next time, just trace an outer edge, which is the top of the peak of the wave, okay? So this way, when you go in here and you add your swoop-a-doops, let's just call them, these little C motions I'm going to put in here, you have an idea of where you need to take the swoop-a-doop up to. Now, at some point in your mind, you got to go, okay, my curl of my wave, its apex is right here, okay? Your apex is right there. So your curl has to come up and around that. Then the rest of these can come down and fade away because that's what would happen in a wave. A wave builds motion as it comes up and it pulls from left or right as it goes. Waves don't come in one full section unless it's a tsunami, then we're all fucked. But it's got to come up and curl. And then each curl is progressively less and then fades. And what that does is that builds the motion of your wave. Yeah, your waves are coming in super hard. Kelly Slater would get screwed by these waves right here, dude. Then when you build that apex, you just take a little bit more of that white paint and you add it to be thicker right here. And then as it goes this direction, that thicker paint slowly just fades down into nothing. And then eventually the wave is getting to start forming right here, okay? You just added way too much white. You added way too much white. You killed all your black. So we're not getting that motion of a wave coming up and across. So when you do these again, you can make your stronger whites here, but then eventually pull your strokes out further away from each other and allow this black to come in here. Then you can take like a filbert brush or your script liner and add little lines that come up like this. So it looks like foam is getting pulled into the curling of the wave. You basically, there's no nice way to say it, and I don't mean this in a bad way. You ruined your wave by putting too much paint. As a new painter, most people think, well, fuck, I have paint. The only way to make something stand out is painting and using my paint, but that's not always necessarily true. You have black on here as your base coat. So make sure to leave black up in here, and then you can use a little bit of the white from these little lines in here and have that base coat of blue be pulled forward by blending things in. You just want way too heavy-handed with your white color, and it shows, and I think you probably know that. And also don't forget to leave separation of black between the waves here, because that's gonna build some shape. I should really do a video on beginner waves, because they're so much fun. They're so powerful. There's just there's so many basic mistakes here that I would say to simplify this next time for you, YouTube channel, is let's just lose one wave and only concentrate on one wave. Really, really try to nail that one element rather than spending 20 minutes on 2 subpar waves. Spend 40 minutes on just one wave, and then you'll really get to see the results, you know? Then for your land, you have the same problem that most new painters have. Not to talk about the mud mixing, which you obviously know that you have going on, which just requires figuring out different viscosities of paint and what sticks, is your land just looks like it's coming out of nothing because you try to make a circular shape here. What you want to do is your land would generally come down and across this way and cut into your water, and then it would technically cut back. And then your next layer would start here and come in and cut back like that. And then you could have a next layer that comes in and cuts back. These little straight lines here are still going to give the effect of it going in this diagonal angle, but now you've created these coves of naturalness in your water, because since your oceans, since you have waves of waves here, there's going to be parts where it's cutting in and hitting, so there should be more angles in this landscape here. And that's it, dude. I think you're onto something good. You just tried a too difficult painting up front. I would say try something way more simple, and then start building up from there. Because when you build something simple that has simple elements within it, things click, and then you can apply those things that click into harder elements in the painting. When you try too many things too fast, you just stumble, and then everything gets away from you. Your sky starts falling apart. Your clouds start falling apart. Your land doesn't even make sense. Your highlights aren't sticking on top of it. Your waves are overtaking everything. So you're just like, fuck, dude, nothing's coming out the way I envisioned. It's because you just went way too far too fast. Bring it back and go, okay, you know what? I'm going to try a very simple sky. Very simple sky. I'm just going to blend some colors. Then now that I learned how to do highlights and do clouds, I'm going to sit there and just work on my clouds. Very simplistic, you know, and just going from there. And I think that would help you out a ton, YouTube channel. New my banana. My banana. You like to use the palette knife to get a nice natural look? I love the palette knife. If I have enough paint, I love using it. Sometimes I'm a little stingy on my own colors. That's my biggest flaw as an artist, so I don't like to waste my paint. Do I have I don't have an ocean or seascape tutorial just yet, but I'm definitely down to do one. We kind of had one a little bit today. Like the new video that we dropped was, a California sunset, which is an acrylic paint, but you could easily do it in oil. Actually, it's a fantastic one to do in oil because it's not too intimidating. It has a little bit of water in it. Ocean water, technically. Oh, no, that's fine. I'm glad you tried something different, and I totally get it. And I'm glad that you tried something different. But you did something completely different, but you also did something completely hard. Very hard. If you're interested in doing a seascape one, message me later, and I think I can send you one that I think is probably an approachable one from Bob Ross. It's just, this one, no joke, is one of the hardest paintings there is. It's a lot of paint, a lot of layers, a lot of perspective, a lot of different moods and modes in it. And it's challenging. Yeah, too much medium can be difficult, and I think a lot of people have a hard time learning what is the correct amount of medium when they're starting out as a painter. I still struggle with it at times. Hey, what's up, Zach? How you doing there tonight, man? I don't know what I'm saying tonight. It's 10:30 where I'm at. It's the early evening or early morning. I'm blocking my own stuff. All right, well, thank you for allowing us to take a look at your art there YouTube channel. Sorry, I got a mouthful of banana. I get hungry when I do this. If you send me a painting, can you tell me what painting style it is? If I know what style it is, I may not know the correct technical term for it, but I'm willing up for an art challenge, sure. I think we all start, I think my first few paintings were all landscapes. My very first painting was a mountain scene, which was a bright one. Then my next one was a black canvas, which turned out to be crap, but I liked it. My third painting was a black canvas again. That was a winter scene. And then I kind of forget what happens after those. But I think it was a very, very long time. Actually, that wasn't a very long time. I would say probably maybe like my 15th painting was a seascape painting. But I stuck with like the same elements for a long time. And that it really, really helped me because I made every single mistake possible when I first started painting. I was like, crap, this isn't looking good at all. And I feel I kind of just stuck with the same things until I kind of got it working better and better for me. Because one of the things that my friend was doing, she was having trouble. She would do, like, her first painting was a mountain painting. And then her next painting was, like, a forest painting. And then her next painting was, like, a snowscape. And then her next painting was, like, a seascape. And then her next painting was a black canvas. She was doing one different painting every time. And she wasn't getting any better. It was never refining the elements from the last painting to the next painting. Where I was doing like mountain painting, then mountain painting, then mountain painting, and then mountain painting with a little bit of trees, then mountain painting with a little more trees, then mountain painting with even more trees. And it's like each time I did the mountain, like my first painting, my second painting was way better than my first, and then my third was way better than my second. It just allowed me to get this progression. And she's like, how are you doing these so much better? I'm like, well, I'm kind of working on the same thing over and over. It's like baking a cake. Your first cake might turn out like shit. But then if you bake that cake again, because you've had the chance to taste, figure out how certain things rise in the oven, and then you figure out the correct way to make like a nice buttercream. Every time you make that cake from there on out, it's going to get a little bit better and better and better and better, hopefully. Thoughts on blocking before painting? Nothing wrong with it. I think it's a good thing to do. Especially if you're freestyling something, it really, really helps a lot. Just use a really thinned out paint so it's easy to paint on top of it. I block in some of my paintings when I do them. Not fully block in. I'll usually block in a horizon line, a mountainside, and then like where my land is going to lay. And that's generally about it for me. But I don't block in full on elements. Like I won't sit there like Andrew Tischler, who's an amazing artist, and I hope to be as good as him one day. He'll block in like every element in the painting. And that's just how he works, because that's a real way of traditionally doing a painting. You think you have too much medium? I always clean some with shop towels. Shop towels are the best. I'm telling you, they're one of the best tricks out there. They help out with so many things. And don't be afraid to use them. We all make very beginner mistakes, and be proud of your mistakes. Just be like, oh, now I learned, you know? It's the only way you're going to learn is from making mistakes. And every mistake that you've made, I have made a bajillion times more. You block in with acrylics and on top of oil. I'll usually, if I block in, it's usually at the same medium. So if I'm painting with oil, I'll block in with oil. If I'm painting with acrylics, actually, I don't even block in with acrylics, to be honest. I usually draw with like a graphite pen. It's just easier for me. I don't know why. I'll stand back and I'll kind of just scratch in things. It just helps my mind. But to each their own. Okay, Doke Finoki. Who's next? Wait, who? I have one from Pat. I can't remember which one is. Oh, Pat Montalova, I think, right? Oh, then you got Zach from Instagram too. Alrighty, let's grab his. So I got Pat. You got Pat's, and then Zach. Zach, what did you send your? Oh, you said Instagram. Let me see if that popped up. Sorry. Give me 1 second. Zach, I'm not. I had one that I emailed to myself. That's right. Zach, was yours the one that I emailed to myself? Was yours the forest one with a little bit of water and then shale rocks underneath the water? Does that sound about right? Whoever's that was? I forgot that I sent that one to me. You resent one, Kana? Okay. I do YouTube members first. YouTube members first. That's the perk that I give. You take pictures and then you add them to your canvas. I go blank, struggle from transfers, and I say, fuck it, I paint something I'm familiar with. That's fine. I sometimes, when I get to the bottom of my canvas too, Zach, I'll repaint the same elements that I feel comfortable with. It's just something that happens, you know? Who the hell sent me one that I had a message to myself? Yours is one that you sent through Instagram. Let's see. If it's a Facebook message that you sent through Instagram, for some reason those don't pop up on my messages right away. Oh, Ryan Owens was the one that sent me the one that I just mentioned with the shale rock. Okay, so that one's Ryan. All right, so let me label that one. Give me 1 second, guys. Ryan Owens. There we go. Zach, I'm not seeing yours. Are you sure it was Instagram? Let me go into requests. Hey, thank you for that sub love there. I think I have the wrong notifications up because I need to fix those again, but thank you. I appreciate it. I do need an assistant. Well, I like to do these on the fly. They're kind of fun. It gives me something to talk about. The last messages that I have from Instagram, if it was a direct message, was from Ben, Pat, and then Ryan. So I don't have one from you, Zach. Do you have a Twitter? You can email it to me too if you wanted to. If you go to my YouTube channel and then go to the About section, it's right in there, Zach. You just click on the little email section. Okay, well, I've got some flowing in here. So we can do, let's do Ryan's. We can pop out his while we get the nat one set up, because I think we've got through, I think pretty much everybody that's a YouTube channel member. If you want to get pushed to the top, you guys can always become a YouTube channel member for the low price of $1. Sorry for the shameless self-promotion, but hey, I like getting my channel and community to grow a little bit better. Alrighty. I know zombies are coming. The zombies. Alright, let's grab Ryan's. Oh, I wish this was a little higher quality picture. Instagram sometimes crushes it a little bit, but it's fine. Alright. Let me get a drink of my water here really quick. Mm. There we go. Now I'm ready. All right, let's swap it over to the review section here. Let me duplicate this layer. It's gonna be a little tough here because I can't make this too big without it getting too pixelated. That's what happens sometimes when things are sent on Instagram, or I guess the quality that you send it in. But this is, I like this. I like this a lot. This is beautiful. So this one is from Ryan Owens in the chat, everyone. So Ryan, let us know acrylic or oil or whatever medium you used or mixed mediums you use. I'd also be interested to know personally what number painting you think this is, so that way we can give a little critique or people can give it a little bit of a reference of skill and everything like that. And if you could let me know, is there anything in particular from you that you think you struggled with that maybe I might be able to give a little bit of feedback or criticism or direction on? That way I can help out a little bit for you. Oh, I gotta switch my pants up here. This is very nice, Linda. It's very pretty. I love the idea. I actually really love the perspective of this painting. I feel like we're sitting just right on, like if this river, let me get my brush here. If this river continued in this direction, I feel like we're sitting just right on like the riverbank side of it. Maybe our feet are just in a little bit of the shale of this water here. It's beautiful. I love it. So, you like the bent trees? The bent trees are cool. Let's talk about it. So the first thing that I actually really love is I love how you created simplistic depth within this painting that you have here, Ryan. And by the simplistic depth, I mean how you have just these background elements where I can't really focus on these bushes here because they're so far in the distance that all we can see is essentially the shadow colors and the contrast that's between it. So I love the colors that you used of, it's hard for me to tell in this picture, but like light browns, maybe yellows and reds mixed on the side. And then you got like the soft blues and then the transitions that fade off into the side here. Very, very good job. Very, very good job because it already builds natural depth because since our eye can't focus on what that element or shape is, excuse me, we automatically default to saying, hey, it's in the background. Cool. And you did a good job using the tree trunks as well, doing that same element and effect. Okay. All right. So for Ryan's, let me get this so that way I can use it for myself. Oh, thank you, Zach. Remind me at the end of this one. Okay. It's straight up oil, never painted before, covered. So I guess around 2 years of painting. Struggled with the underwater rocks. Was my third attempt at this painting. Cool. And I think it shows because I think you did a fantastic job on it. I actually don't really do underwater rocks because I guess I just don't get a lot of reference photos to do those things. But so first of all, good job building depth with the trees and the backgrounds and what you have here. I'm not really sure right here. I'm not sure if this is the light source. You have like a cluster of soft yellow that might be like we're seeing through some of the diffusion, or maybe that was a mistake. I'm not really sure. Because technically you put highlight here. I guess highlight's technically everywhere, but you put a little more here. So I guess maybe that could be our light source. I'm not really sure. That's the only confusing part that I see within it. But you did a beautiful job of what you have. The biggest criticism I would say within this background element that you got going on, that you have going on within this section right here, Ryan, is all of your trees and trunks are generally the same shape and color. And there should be a little more contrast between them, and there should be some different thicknesses between them, okay? So what I mean by that is this tree, this tree, this tree, this tree, this tree. Those two are kind of the same in this tree. These are all kind of the same thicknesses. I think you would have a lot more power as the artist and the builder of this landscape if you realize if you made some trees thicker and some trees thinner here in the back, that you would be building a lot more depth within the painting. And I know that's difficult to do when you're dropping in stuff, but I think it would really help within the perspective of really pushing this back a lot more within your painting, and also building different, I don't want to say colors, I would say contrast is probably a better word. Let me get a smaller brush here, between your trees, because they're all kind of the same thing. Like, I know there's depth in this painting, but as you're getting closer with us between this tree and this tree and this tree and these trees and this tree, they should get a little more defined in color. So I would say next time you paint something like this, or if you paint it for a fourth time, one of the tips that I would give is make a color mixture for your trunk base, okay? Let's just say your closest tree is this tree right here. We can all agree on that, okay? This is your or maybe whatever this tree is technically, but there's no trunk. Hold on, let me get rid of this layer. I don't like that little red that's sitting in there. There we go. So we can all agree that this is our biggest foreground tree. So it should be the darkest one technically, okay? So this one we could say, let's make this pure. Well, let's make these two. We'll make these two. Let's say these are all on one plane. Let's make these two straight Van Dyke brown. Then I want you to take a little bit, let's just say 1/4 of a mixture of titanium white into your Van Dyke brown. And then you could paint this cluster of trees, okay? And then add another 1/4 of white, which would now make that mixture 1 part white, 1 part Van Dyke brown. And now you can paint this cluster of trees. Now we can add 1/4 of white. So now it's 1 part Van Dyke brown to 3 parts titanium white. And now we can paint this cluster of trees. And now we've progressively just pushed everything back by making everything be softer than softer than softer. So we're adding more depth in the painting. And all we did was just change our ratio of our mixture of paint. And that's really going to add a little bit more depth to our painting. Okay? And then you would do the same thing with the tree leaves. So you could do that same mixture and put, this foreground element of trees could be pure cadmium yellow, yellow ochre, a little bit of bright red, or a alizarin crimson red, or a red medium hue cad, whatever you want to do your mixtures of, and then take that mixture, and then, okay, we got 1/4 we'll put here, and then we can do a 1/2 here, and then you didn't really have any down here, that's fine, but if you did, you could do the 3-to-1 ratio down here, and then again, you've built a little bit more depth within your painting. I think your trees could also probably benefit from having a little bit of dark leaf in it. That would really create a contrast. So the one thing that I think is lacking within your painting is I feel like this is more of a cove. And this is being surrounded by these big, beautiful trees, which means at times sunlight is going to have a hard time cascading. Whoops, wrong button. Sorry. Still wrong button. I'm sorry. Which means B for brush, which means sunlight's going to have a hard time cascading through and down here at times. At least that's the vision that I get, the vibe, the feel that I have. I could be 100% wrong, but if I'm right to some degree, that means there should be some dark areas on the bottom sides of your leaves here. And when you add that contrast, that's what's going to build even more depth and more character. So that way when you put highlight on top of here with leaves, they're going to stand out even more, And that would look beautiful and awesome. But I mean, I could be wrong. This could be all exposed in bright highlight. But I feel like if you do everything in bright highlight, you're going to make your image more 2D and more flat. And I don't want that for you. You got a great source here. It just needs a little bit of that contrast to really make it pop, Great job of reflecting the water, dude. Of your trees coming down in here. Excellent job. Hey, what's up, Randy? How you doing there today, bud? Sorry, I gotta eat a banana. I'm getting hungry again. All right. The one big problem I see from you, Randy, and it's so weird, and it was probably just more of like a brain fart of when you were doing it, because you actually did a phenomenal job. I'm gonna move my camera here. I'm gonna remove me, you did the one thing I complain about with most people. You did it perfectly. You built your plane, and dude, look how it came down and in. And then you can another plane, another plane, and another plane, and another plane, and another plane. You created this beautiful switch colors. You created this beautiful angle here that goes across by building multiple layers right here. Just small little crack, small little crevice. And we get the idea that everything is wrapping around this side here. You didn't do a straight line of just land. And then you did the same thing here. Look how like this land comes up, this 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 comes up. You created this beautiful straight line here without making a straight line. Beautiful, beautiful job. This section here and this section here is by far perfection with the way that you created straight lines by making not straight lines, which is awesome because that's what would happen is water would eat away and curve into different sections. Water would rise, water would lower, and so there would be these different erosion lines that would happen right here. You did a beautiful job. Now, I get to tear you apart. You didn't do that here. Look, you made one straight curved line. And it really takes away from the painting, sadly, because you have these beautiful angles that you created here that you need to do it back here. Your perspective that you pulled here is unnatural, unfortunately. So what I would do is, and this is tough because there's no right way to do this, but the way I would do it that I think could help you is don't do this section here just yet. This would be a different element that would come later. So when you paint this perspective of this water that goes around this bank here, you want to take your land and pull it all the way here and go across. And eventually this beautiful hill will cover it up, okay? Just want to build that visualization point for you. So take this hill or this little river bank here, and I want you to pull it all the way across to right here. All right? Then this section here would then come down just like that. So it cuts into this plane. So that way it creates separation and it's going to create different characters. Now we can do the same thing that you did just right above my head over here. We can create these different cuts that fade in right here. And then eventually I would have brought this section just ever so slightly higher to cut that off. So that way it creates a natural barrier between the two. And now you have, again, that awesome cove. And I know my archaic drawing here doesn't really pull the full element of what I'm saying, but it looks so much better now that you have these natural cuts. And the cool part is, Ryan, I know you have the fucking talent for it because you did it perfectly here and you did it perfectly here. But now that you know that I see it, it's like that Star Wars section in the beginning of episode 3 when the stormtrooper comes in and he hits his head on the door. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And it's just so simple. Like you could tell you kind of want to do it because look, you added water lines here, but those water lines wouldn't actually be there because you just made this perfect curve. Okay, cool. Thank you, Oscar. Tell me in a second here and I'll look at it. And I mean, it's right. It's a little cringy because you did such a beautiful job down here, but it's fine. It's fine. I just want to bring it to your attention because you're going to nail it next time. The other thing is too, is this is too flat. This is too flat. You see how much contrast you added here and how much contrast you added here? Those are so beautiful. They stand out. I can literally see different bushes, different reeds, different foliage right here. I can see different grass, different moss, different rocks, different shale, all right here. This looks like a seagull just turded. Just diarrhea chipotle everywhere. And I don't mean to be mean. It's just I want to be critical because I know you're thirsty. I know you're hungry. It's just you let the mud mixing get away here. You need to have the contrast that you built here. See how there's dark and light? You need to have dark and light over here. Even if your sun is blowing this out, you still need to have some shadow under here. Some shadow that's going to build a little bit of depth it's going to have. It's harsh, but it's true because I love Ryan Owens, dude. Because I see I'm excited by this. I see so much talent and so much passion in this. I gotta be brutal. Gotta be brutal. Gotta be honest. Banana. Need a little baby bite. It's harsh with love. I'm like a nun. Let me pull this in here. And then when we come down to the rocks, I got nothing left to say. The rest of the painting is so spectacular. I love the transition of rocks. I love the shadow that you built. I love the outline shades. No shit. Let me move my head out of the way. When you go from over here to here, I get the impression that the water gets deeper. You know why? Because it gets darker right here. You've built such great perspective. I can't even do that, dude. That's fantastic. You built such great perspective right here. I see the rising of the land. Dude, this is so awesome. I see the different transitions. That's so good. So talented. This is phenomenal, Ryan. I think if you cleaned up a lot of the basic elements, you have almost a perfect painting. You really, really do. What I would say, and it's hard because I don't know how long it took you to paint something like this, Ryan. I would say you could paint it one more time, but a painting like this for your 4th attempt shouldn't be an in 1 day painting. This should be a 3-day painting. You should just do 1 day the background elements, then 1 day your mid-ground and forming of this shale rock side, and then your next day just painting all of the water elements. And you probably would have a painting, no shit, that you could sell for easily hundreds and hundreds of dollars, because this is a beautiful painting. You just need to work on some of the basic things that I think you miss with the trees and the branches, and then adding depth in the leaves, and then building depth within, creating the perfect lines to encapsulate your water. And that's it. And I think you have a fantastical painting. It's beautiful. This is, I don't even do underwater rocks because, one, I don't really see that much around where I am. Maybe in the creek sometimes, but it would just be a little bit. Well, it was fantastic, dude. I love it. A few hours each day? Yeah. Your talent is growing, dude. And I think you might have said it before, Ryan, and I'm sorry if I missed it. I know you said you were painting for around like 2 years or so, but what number painting do you think this is for you? Is this number 10, number 50, number 100, something beyond that? I really love your rocks. I really do. I can't paint rocks that way. The only way I paint rocks this way is if I do paint like maybe every day for like a couple hours and then let it tacky up and come back the next day and then continue and then come back the next day and continue. Number 20, dude, you should be teaching me. You should be teaching me. This is great. This is fantastic, dude. Super fantastical. Yeah, feel free to. I'm sure Ryan would be happy if you try this one. I always leave the VODs on, as long as I don't get striked for whatever stupid reason. You can always come back and look at these VODs at any point. And scrub through or scroll through and screen grab one of the images. Like if you wanted to screen grab like, oops, you want to screen grab like this section right here, you can use it, baby, and use it for your own stuff. No, I'm thank you, Ryan, for allowing us to take a look at your art, dude. You've got some real fun promise, and I can't wait to see what you guys make next. It's one of the coolest things because I love. The only inspiration I usually get is from my own work or things I follow on Instagram or some of my art friends and whatnot. And sometimes it gets a little stale because I'll see the same things over and over. But one of the things that I like doing about these live reviews and seeing everybody's artwork and whatnot is the fact that so many people out there have so many different ideas, such a different perspective, such a different way of approaching things that it's kind of awesome to see all this fun stuff, you know? And it's so cool to just be like, oh my gosh, I never would have thought of that. Okie dokie. Let's get Ryan's out of there. All right, I have time for one more. So who is the lucky fan? If there's any YouTube channel member out there, you get first crack if anybody's hiding out there in the wings. So let me know. I know a lot of people sent me things on YouTube and Instagram and Twitters and my own email. If I can pull up my email, that'd be awesome. All right, let's move that here. Oh, and for Baby of wanting to know what technique this was. I don't know. I don't know what that technically would be called. Geometric abstract, perhaps? I mean, there's no real words for anything unless it uses a full technique of like a tool. I would say it's like a geometric abstract. I mean, here I can pull it up here really quick. Let me just increase the size so people can look at it. I mean, this is I'm assuming this is done by you. When you use something that's minimalistic in colors like this, it would be like a vector or illustration. Because if you had like the black and just the colors that pull out just to create minimalistic shapes on it, that'd be like a vector or illustration, it'd be called. But I would just say like geometric abstract, because you have all these very 70s, late 70s, early 80s colors here that were very popular with the neon turquoise, pink, and purples. And this is very Saved by the Bell like shapes going on. But I think it's cool. But I don't know what you could technically call it. Not every style, every approach has a name, technically. Zach was next. Which one was Zach? Zach, where did you send me yours? I forget these because I don't have it right in my thing. Give me 1 second. Let's check. Was Zach one of the ones that sent me a message? Gmail. Okay. Oh, I found it. Got it. All right, let me download that. Oh, I think I grabbed yours earlier, Zach. Yours was on Instagram, but it wasn't under that name. I forget what it was under. Or maybe it was Twitter. I can't remember. I get so many different things sent to me now from all the people that are doing art. It's awesome. Alrighty, let me grab everything over here. Give me 1 second. Pull this up, minimize this out of the way. And let me load it here. Let me just put your name on it. Zach. That way I can load these things. Let me delete this one. Alrighty, here we go. Alright, cool. So this one's actually going to be a real simple one. This is going to be nice and fun because it's just a very basic mountaintop. Let me minimize that really quick and then pull it over. Oh, I guess I can't pull it over the side. Sorry, because it's already minimized out. Zach, this is your second painting. Okay, cool. We got a good start here of what we have going on. So, Zach, same question I was saying to Ryan on the last one. We already know it's second painting. What was the biggest things that you struggled with? And then I'm assuming it's oil. It looks like it's oil, but you never know. Oil, what medium did you use? Let's see, is there anything else I kind of want to know? I guess just let me know, like, yeah, in simplistic terms, but direct terms, like what was something that you really struggled with so that way I could help you out as we go through the tutorial here. Or tutorial, sorry, the review here. Not teaching how to paint, although I could. One of these days I'll do it here. My leg itches. Like I got bit by something again. It's a very comic painting. I like, one of my favorite paintings is just doing a very basic mountain and just like clouds. I don't know why. I find it soothing. Highlights on a mount, definitely, yes, it's oil. I used liquid white after using gray gesso and letting that dry. Okay, imagine you probably put gray gesso down so that way you knew what to cover with your liquid white, so that way you knew you had the correct application. At least that's what I'm going to assume. So, okay. So let's take a look here of what we got. We got a nice soft muted gray sky with some burnt orange clouds in here. And then we got a nice little mountain peak that's coming out of, let's just say, haze, if you will. And this is actually looking pretty decent if this is your second painting. Mountains can be very intimidating. They can be very difficult for brand new painters, especially if you're not very confident with a palette knife, which technically you wouldn't be because it's your only second time really holding it. Okay? So let's start at the top here. One of the things we just talked about with babies, let me just create a layer here. Let me get my, brush. So one of the first things that you have the power of when you're an artist is you get to decide, Zach, there's a little hair floating around. There we go. You get to decide where your focal points are. And using focal points is one of the strongest tools that you have The way you create, one of the ways that you can create focal points is with contrast. And the easiest contrast that you can create is what's called a vignette. Okay? So when you create a vignette, you are essentially putting darker colors on the outside here, and you're pulling and blending them in towards the center. Okay? Just like that. And that's something you want to first start doing, especially within your sky, because you can create an easy focal point. I could probably even do that with a gradient tool here. Here, watch. We'll do this. Is this going to go the opposite way? That's the opposite way. Shit, I forget how you inverse it. Reverse. So like that's technically a vignette. You would have darker color on the outside, and then it would pull towards it. So now your eye is focused towards your circle. So that's, or circle, sorry, towards your mountain within this circle. There we go. And you can see how that works. You've created that, and we can do that by creating our sky to have a little bit of darker corners and then blending that to the section that we need. So I would say add a little more color and then pull it towards our mountain. You did a great job of leaving a little bit of white down here, which has helped creating the separation between what would be the mountain and the horizon line and everything that's building in there. Hey, what's up, Puffingham Place or Palace? How you doing there? Oh, I am a sexy beef. Leg itches. So, very simplistic. All you do is just add a little bit of extra color and do some cross strokes up here, do some cross strokes up here, and then just take a big 2-inch brush and just blend down and in, and blend down and in. And it's easy as that. But make sure you don't eliminate the white here. That's all you just need to do. Let me get rid of these strokes. Now, your clouds actually aren't bad. There looks like there's motion in your sky that the wind is pulling it. So it's just pulling it straight across. So it looks like your wind is pulling things in this general direction. So when you scratched in colors, it's very easy to do with these type of clouds because all you do is just scratch in and then you just blend over very softly to build the body with some cross strokes just like this. And then you just pull them across to work out the brush strokes. The only thing I would say is you have identified a light source, which is going to be over here somewhere on the right hand side. I know this because you put highlights on your mountain on the right hand side. So there should be a little more color on the right side of each of these clouds, or highlights on the right side of these clouds. So I would say for the next tip, or next time you do these clouds, since you establish your light source, once you blend these in, just take a little bit more color and just add it just on these sides here, and then blend them in again so that way we've got a little extra thickness, a little more density in those clouds. Or you can do it with white paint, so that way you create a little bit of highlight in your clouds. Very easy to do. Very easy to do. Now let's get to the mountain. Okay, the biggest problem you have with your mountain is it's a straight pyramid triangle, okay? It's literally this, which is what we kind of learn when we're in elementary school. We always think every triangle is a mountain, and that's not true when it comes to creating a painting. Nature very rarely grows in straight lines. Puffingham, love digital art. When you get into the groove, you don't have to stop. I wish I was a better digital artist. I do very, very, very little digital art, mostly just to work out on templates of what I want to do for a painting. But I wish I was better at digital art. The best part about digital art is the Control-Z button. That's the best part. All right, so your mountain literally just goes up and down. Very simplistic, which is good to work with, especially if you're just practicing. But let's improve upon this, okay? So I want you, next time you paint your solo mountain, yes, I want you to come up, and I technically want you to come down, but let's add to this. I'm just gonna make my brush a little bit bigger for you guys. So when we come up and down, I want you to come up with some bumps, just like that. And how about let's come down like that, and then come up, just like that, and come down and off into the side, okay? And that's all we need to do. And now we just added a beautiful little bump in here. There we go. Just like that. And now we've got a lot more to work with. And so what I generally like to teach people here, Zach, is it's okay once you've put in all your color here to create a guideline for your mountain. So flip over your palette knife, and here we're just going to draw it together. I'm going to do it with the mouse. It's going to be very shitty, but it'll help out. Let's carve down, and let's just say my highlight comes down and comes this way. All right? So we can go to this mountain, and let's carve down, and let's say my highlight comes down and across just like that. So now I know I'm going to put all of my highlight on this side and have it fade down and away. And I'm going to do some fade and highlight right here. And then we're going to switch colors, make it blue so it stands out for you. Now I'm going to have my shadow come down and meet up with the side. And we're going to create a beautiful little valley that sits right in here. And then I can take the shadow and pull down this way, just like that. Okay? You could do something like that. And then if you wanted to, you could technically carve in something here and then add more highlight if you wanted to where it meets with this mountain, or add some separation. But now you've just created a more simplistic and easier, more approached mountain, if you will, that has more defined shape and characteristics by adding a few little bumps, adding more defined highlights, and you have more structure to your mountain so you know where to put the correct highlight idea. So use that little cheat. Turn over your palette knife and scratch in a guideline so you know what side to put your highlights on. Right now, you kind of try to do something like that. You're like, okay, I know I'm going to put my highlight here and here, and I know I'm going to put my highlight here that comes down in here. And then that was kind of it. Like you didn't think about it too much. And then you probably had mud mixing where you couldn't get the paint to stick. So when you're creating your mountain like this, I want you to take your 2-inch brush and pull as much color as you can. Brush it back and forth, 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 and work off all that excess color. And what that does, I'll go big screen here for you, is it's going to expose that toothing on the canvas. So that way when you take your palette knife and it goes across, it's going to hit these teeth and it's going to go paint, 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 paint. And the parts in between where those gaps are the breaks. So it looks like snow is naturally breaking across. And you probably had in yours, it was probably smushing and you couldn't get anything to stick. And you're like, fuck, 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 fuck. Well, that was fun. And then you're just like, oh, well, that didn't work. And I know, because I've been there. It's tough to get paint to stick when you're trying to do it on top of other slick paint, which means you got to work off that base coat, which is, I can't remember who I was talking with earlier in the beginning of the stream here. He's like, what do you feel about traditional? When you have that traditional paint or that exposed toothing, it's so easy to just make it break, when you have a drier canvas. How do you submit? Dave, first of all, hello. Should I start with that? How you doing? It's a perk for YouTube channel members. They get to go first, and then I'll grab randoms as I run out of YouTube channel members. And it's just submitted either through, right now, Instagram or Twitter is pretty easy for me. If you don't have any of those, you can always email me generally. But yes, they are insanely helpful. And if you're gonna remember, you technically have a shadow side here because it's the base color. But if you're gonna put on paint breaks on this side, try your best to put paint breaks on the other side, even if it's just a little. Even if it's just a little, and even if it's at like something like the top here, because you have to remember, with the light coming down, I don't know why I'm showing over here with my hand, I've got this tool. With the light coming down, sometimes the light is going to cascade over on this side, so you may have a little bit of highlight shadow side on this. So don't be afraid to add a little, specular sides on that, okay? And that's really going to give your mountain a little more shape, a little more structure. Now, one of the things that you kind of forgot, or maybe, I don't know, you kind of did it. It looks like you did it on this side, but not as much on this side over here, is take your 2-inch brush and start tapping up your mountain in the direction of how you formed it. And what that's going to do is it's going to create this really fine mist of paint right in these two directions. This guy looks angry. Didn't mean to draw that. And it's going to create that really fine mist, so that way when you start brushing and swooping up in this general direction, you're going to start push this mountain further and further and further back. The more you sit there and swoop, the further and further the mountain's going to get, so you're in control of that. Then you can build a layer of clouds in front of this, just like that, so that way that mountain sits. Or you can start putting in some straight marks up and down with your fan brush to build a tree line, just like that. Then you could build like a little bit of water, you know, come down and across here, just like that. And then you could build some, whoops, that's not a brush. Then you just build some, whoops. Then you could build like a little bit of land to hold this water in. And you just got yourself a nice little painting, you know? And that's as simple as that. The biggest mistake that you have on your painting here, Zach, is the fact that you just had too much slickness on here to where nothing was sticking. Too much slickness on here where nothing was sticking, and you could tell it got away from you, and then you kind of just gave up. You're like, well, that was cool. So what I would say is make sure to work off all the excess paint. Make sure you got a nice little confident dry paint on your palette knife. Watch one of my videos that I have there is the correct way to hold a palette knife. So after this, I would say watch that video. Then I have another video that shows you how to cheat and put on snow on a mountain. Rather than trying to get like a really thick paint break coming down and across, I teach you to turn the palette knife on its like 15-degree angle side and literally just slice, 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 slice. You get these little slices of paint break snow, and it looks pretty close to paint breaks, but it's a good way to cheat. And then as you get a little more confident, you just open up your hand and your wrist a little bit more, and it slowly starts exposing more of that blade, so you get a few more paint breaks as you strike it, and then eventually you open the blade all the way, and you start working in the paint breaks. Hey, what's up, Ethan? How you doing there today, bud? How's everything going on with you, dude? What is the best color for the base of mountains? Tough question, because it really has no right answer, no rhyme or reason. Depends on what you want to build. I made a video a while ago of how to make a mountain mixture made off Bob Ross's mixture, where it's got like black, brown, gray, reds, and blues in there to get you a nice dark color. That one works really well. But my personal favorite, no joke, I have two that are my personal favorite. I like using a black and blue, a black and Prussian blue. So that way it's a nice dark base with a little blue hint of light when it hits it. And then I also really love using a little bit of black, a decent amount of blue, and a decent amount of red. So that way I get a very dark purple. It doesn't really work well within most natural landscapes, but if you're going something for a little more of an eye-popping appeal, like a purple mountain's majesty looks very beautiful. And then when you add white on top of that, it gives it this nice subtle appeal. Those are, I would say, my three that I use generally. Most grays out there work really well, but most gray paints are very oily. So you have to add a lot and then work it in and then wipe off the excess. Dude, you tore your ACL last month? Oh my God. That does not sound fun. Hopefully you have a speedy recovery. When you say it's too slick, do you mean that I use too much liquid white? I didn't scrape off enough of the excess paint on the mountain. That I do not know. You would have to tell us. I could say it could be a combination of both those, or it could be the fact that you maybe had too much liquid white, or the fact that you had too much paint on there. I don't know. I can just tell it's too slick because I can tell that nothing is sticking. And I know what this effect looks like because I've made it before. This is the butter on toast effect, whoops, where nothing's sticking on there. So I'm just telling you how to correct it, which is really work in this paint right here by taking a 2-inch brush and pushing it far, far into the canvas. Yeah, that could require you scraping off excess paint. Yeah, that could make sure that you don't put on more liquid white or liquid clear. But I'm just trying to let you know, you really have to work in this paint or work off that paint. So that way, when you take a nice dry white paint across it, it's going to start paint breaking in this general direction. So I'm just telling you how to correct it. I don't know what caused it because I wasn't there. No, I would appreciate if you didn't, Lars. But if you wanted to have fun and check out the paints, that's cool. Send me one on Instagram. Homemade liquid white and a water mixable oil, red and blue and white I use for a mountain mixture or just a painting in general. Puffing ham. Let me get back to the main one, but I like the fact that you started with something very simplistic for your painting, and that helps out a ton. You didn't try to go too hard, too ham on anything. You just kept it nice and easy. And sometimes that's the best that you can do, you know? Let's pull it up here. Thank you for the follows on Instagram too, guys. If you guys get a chance, you can always follow me on my Instagram and Twitter. It does help. Was it a DM that you sent it to me on Puffingham? Oh, probably is. Under Daniel, I imagine. All right. Let's see. Yep, that's you. Okay, cool. Let me grab it. I could probably fit this one in. This one's a very small painting. Very small painting. Let me pull the rest of this up here really quick. This would probably be the last one for today. Let me just put your name on it so I know. Puffing. There we go. Let's increase this. Oh, I like this. This is pretty. I like the color combination of red, white, and blues when they blend together and they look great. So here we go. Now it's a little harder to see because this is the image I have. It's basically the whole thing. So it's a little hard to make out for people out there on the internet land, but you gotta love what it is. If I get too close, it gets a little pixelated, but just to give you guys an idea. So we got a nice blue sky, some nice, I guess you could say maroon, maybe violet, dark violet, purple clouds, and then a nice little baby pink skyline with our mountain / cliff, I would say. Then I'm assuming these are bushes, water, and then encapsulated by more bushes. And it's very difficult sometimes when you work on a smaller canvas, which we'll get here in a moment. When's my next live stream? You know, I do not know, which is probably a good way to promote myself, to make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I'll always put it in the community tab there, so keep track of that. And also, I probably should promote it more on my Instagram and Twitter, but those 3 places at the moment are the best. Quinacridone magenta. I don't even know if I ever said that right. Quinacridone. It's a weird word. But let's take a really quick look. I won't have much time because I got to go eat some lunch here, Puffingham. But I appreciate it. But let's give you some just quick tips here. Since it's a smaller image, and plus I love plus I love helping people when I can. So you did a really good job of making a fun and unique landscape here that pops out with different colors, and I love that. However, I think you made a very basic mistake off the bat in your color coordination, I would say, of blending. What you can do is, we know we want to put our blue in the top. Where's my brushes? There we go. Let me make this smaller for you. I think it would be more powerful if you had a better transition of blends within your colors. So we know we're going to put our blue here because it's our stronger color, and we know it's going to create that beautiful gradient. And so what I would do is, if this was my painting, I would actually technically start with my pink, because that way it would save me on cleaning my brushes. I would do one big band of pink, generally in this direction. And then with that pink, I would start, I'm going to go a lot smaller. I would start blending it up, and I would start blending it down. And I would stop my blending to about right here and to about right here. And the reason I would do that is because I'm going to have this beautiful baby red pink transition into a beautiful light pink. And then I'm establishing what's going to be my water reflection down here and what is going to transition into my sky. But I want to leave these separational points. Then I would take my blue, put one strong band here and one strong band here, and start blending in this direction towards the pink, and then start blending in this transition, or blending in this point towards the pink. And then I would blend it all together with a big dry 2-inch brush, but very, very lightly. So that way I've got these really kind of strong band of fading of transitional colors, but now I've added a lot more pink in my ground here, or sorry, not ground, this isn't ground, into my lake. So that way it's gonna reflect my sky. And it's gonna be an easy transitional point, and plus I'm gonna have something that's gonna add a little more pop, okay? With the clouds, and plus I would work off a lot of the excess paint that I don't need, so that way when I build a cloud, it'd have an easier time sticking. The cloud could be any color here. It looks like we went with a dark purple, but our light is coming from this general direction, so we need to make sure we add highlights on the side of our cloud that we have. You more have highlights kind of just sitting on top a little bit. I would say you would probably benefit from having a little few come on this general direction of your cloud as you build the shape. And then I would fade out the back end a little bit more by adding some more circular strokes and bodybuilding strokes with some cross strokes, and then giving it a good lift. And that added a lot of definition and shape to the element of the painting. Oh, that's no problem. I'm just giving you some quick tips. I think this is a great painting. You have kind of the same mistake that most new painters make, which is fine. You have straight line, kind of straight line, and straight line. So I love the strong cliff that you have here, but you would really benefit from, you probably do, but it's a hard picture because I can see you go up and down a little bit, but I would probably go up, I would exaggerate it a little bit more. Not as much as I just put there. But something like that would probably be a little more beneficial to you. So that way you go, okay, well, I can visualize now these lines that I have coming in here. So now I know to put my highlight on this side here, this side here, this side here, maybe even this a little bit here. And then I can drop in. You need to add a little bit of shadow, because a little bit of shadow is going to give some of these is going to give some of these peaks some lift. And you could just do a little bit of light ones. You can even just do like some straight lines down right to there, straight line down, straight line down, and, straight line down. Things like that. It's going to give it a little more lift and separation to where it looks like there's actual elements happening in this painting. I forgot to create a layer. That probably would have been better for me. There we go. Let's create the layer. Then when you get to the base of your mountain right here, Puffingham, you need to fade it out. You got to remember this is in the background. So take your 2-inch brush and start tapping up the side of this mountain or cliff here. And that's going to fade it out. And then take your 2-inch brush, clean it off, and then slowly swoop up the mountain like that. And then what that's going to do is it's going to fade out the bottom of this mountain, pushing it back even further. So that way when you drop in your bushes right here, it's really going to seem like it's building depth and planes in it. Okay? You could probably benefit from adding a few more water lines in here, just around the river's edge or lake's edge, and then fade them out with a 2-inch brush. And then And then since these bushes right here are in front of these bushes right here, your foreground bushes need to have, oh, that was big brush, need to have the strong highlight dabs on top of it. And then the background ones need to have less on top of it. I mean, they can have some strong ones every now and then, but the foreground ones need to have it the most, okay? And then that, again, will help push that painting back even further. And those are just simple things. Like everything I just gave you right there, adding the correct color transitions is going to make your painting stand out even more and have a good transitional point in it. Adding highlights to the clouds is going to build depth in your sky and establish the land. Then adding a few more bumps and the correct highlights and shadows in your mountain is going to help shape the foundation of that rock. Then fading it up so it pushes the rest of the painting back is going to help. Then dropping the trees and the bushes in front of that fade is going to cement that rock and where it's sitting. And then adding lighter highlights on the background as opposed to the foreground, or adding lighter highlights on the midground and then stronger, more defined ones on the foreground is really going to help separate that painting out, and it's going to look fantastic. I would say paint this again. If this is your only second one of what you said, paint it one more time and add those simple, very simple changes, and I think you'll be amazed. No shit, it'll probably be like 10 times or 100 times better, and you're going to go, oh shit, now that clicked, that looks great. And you're like, oh, now I get it. Now I know how to take that into my next painting, you know? And it's gonna be like way easier, way easier. You're gonna be like, oh, yeah, the shadows do make my mountain look like it has ridges and bumps and all these kind of like crevices and things like that. Hey, what's up, PC Beauty? How you doing today? Good morning to you. I always tell people, if you have a painting that looks decent like this, if this is a painting that you like and you're somewhat happy with it, paint it again. Because you know what you did well, so you're going to be fine with that. And you know what you kind of struggled with, so you're like, okay, well, let me make these simple little changes and I can see all that stuff, you know? And then when you do paint it again, I would say do it this weekend, Puffingham. Paint this one later on tonight or tomorrow, and then send it to me on Instagram or Twitter. I would love to see it. I'd love to see the first one, which is this one, and then the second one. However, when you send me a picture of this one, do me a favor. Do me a favor. I want to see a picture more like this. So that way I can get a little more detail out of it. I love seeing your guys' setup, but I want to see more of the painting. I'm glad you're getting inspired. I got to see what I'm going to paint on today. I got to do a little bit of gardening. Oh, Pat, thank you for coming a YouTube channel member. I think I have my wrong alert set up so it won't pop over here, but I'll give you a personal alert here. Use banana alert. There you go. Cool. Thank you for joining our little fun community, man. I appreciate the support. You are awesome. You are awesome. Dude, we did 1, 2. Oh, we didn't do Pat's. Okay, Pat, you were the ocean painting one, right, Pat? And then we did Puffing, Ryan Owens, YouTube channel, and Zach. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We did 6 reviews today? Shit, I can do Pat's real quick since Pat just became a YouTube channel member. Thank you for the follow, sorry. Thank you for that membership. I really do appreciate it. I can do this one real quick because it's not that difficult. But I just want to make sure Pat's is the one that was the ocean one before I help him out. Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you guys for tuning in and having fun. I really love talking art and having fun with you all. Makes me motivated to keep making videos for you all. You're going to Garden of the Gods for inspiration here in Illinois. What is Garden of the Gods? Is that like a botanical garden? No, I'm not running short on time. It's just I want to go eat. But your painting isn't actually that difficult, so it could be actually really easy to do. We'll do one more. If people are still enjoying what's going on in here. Yours isn't that difficult, so I think it'll be kind of easy to give a little bit of advice on. And I'll be more than happy. Plus, you just became a YouTube channel member, so I feel like I owe you a little bit of love because you gave me a little bit of love. So let's take a look. This one's going to be Pat. Another black canvas. I love how you guys are all doing these black canvases. These are awesome. Natural rocks and tree formations. Oh, cool. You got to take a picture and send it to me. I'd love to see that. I've never heard of that. Alrighty. Let's take a look at this from Pat. I got a cough here 1 second. Excuse me. That was the last bit of my water. I love the blue in this. This blue is awesome, dude. You got to be stoked with the blue that you got going on here, Pat. We got a black canvas with our probably Prussian and phthalo blue mixtures in here, creating our clouds, and then our horizon line, moving into some waves. And we got one awesome cyclonic wave going on here, crashing on our ocean beach formation. I'm not really sure, Pat, what this is in the background here. I'm assuming this is supposed to be a rock, maybe? Or the world's biggest paddleboarder, perhaps? I'm not sure. I kind of see like a face, shoulder, back, and legs coming down, and the front of the body, and then he's standing on a board as he's trying to surf, and then maybe put a little paddleboard over here with his little paddle, and he's going. You know, he's just rocking out. And then there's a shark over here. Just like that. Getting ready to eat him. And he's going. He's having a bad day, and he's got some cool gills. Like that. And then a spaceship came. There we go. And it had... Oh, it's another shark. Actually, fuck it. It's another shark. There's flying sharks too now. There he goes. And he's going over here. And he's got a thought bubble. And he's going... Chum. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. I like to have fun. Oh, good God. Oh! Oh, it is lightning! Shit, you're way better at this than me. Oh... Totally didn't. Well, why is this one cloud only shooting lightning? None of these else look stormy. I like my idea better. I think it's a paddleboarder. I think it's a Titan paddleboarder. Okay, lightning makes way more sense. Cool. All right, let's take a look here. So, the colors are super vivid, which is what makes this painting stand out. However, since you have so much vividness in it, you need to learn to dissipate something so our eye knows what's to concentrate on. If this is going to be lightning right here, that is going to be a focal point. It's going to be one focal point, but also your wave is going to be a focal point. So let's take a look here. If we take this picture and we take out all the color in it and we make it a black and white, the biggest problem you have here is this is the same color as everything in your sky. And that's not necessarily bad, but it makes for a flatter image, okay? So we need to add some real contrast. Now, luckily, you have base contrast in here from all of the black canvas of what's separating out, but your main elements that you're painting on are all the same color, okay? And that's really going to be giving you diminishing returns to the painting. So one quick and easy way we can fix this, Pat, is when you're making your clouds, first of all, there's no wrong and right way to make a cloud. Clouds come in many different shapes and sizes and whatever they are. However, I do believe there's things that look more like clouds and things that don't look like clouds. And when things that don't look like clouds is when you get carried away with your paintbrush. I feel like you put way too much in here. Whoops, that's too big of a paintbrush. You put way too much in here, okay? I feel like you didn't have an idea necessarily of what you wanted a cloud to be, and so they just got away from you. Sometimes less is more. If you're going to make some clouds that have lightning in them, I would probably build big puffy sections and build on top of these as you come forward. Kind of like this. I know it's a very archaic drawing, but you would have this big billowing cloud that then can spew out lightning down because it has all this density to it, okay? If you weren't going for that, I would probably just have clouds that come up from the side and just kind of fade off into nothing. And that would be a lot more of a structured painting and balance for you. You just have way too much going on. Yeah, you would want to stack the clouds. And what I would probably do is I would take one cloud, just like this. That's a shitty cloud. Let's say it goes up like that, okay? Let's say this is our first cloud. And you're going to build in the body here, okay? Which we've already done. Now what you're going to do with this base, I want you to fade it down into this black. Take your 1-inch brush and start doing soft circular strokes. Or actually, I should probably do it with the blue so that we can see it. Start doing soft circular strokes like that. And it's going to fade into that blue. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you transition of color, okay, in that spot. So it's going to be transitional to where it's going to look like it's fading in and out and building different density of cloud. And then when you take your next cloud and then you build it on top of that, it's going to stand out because there's going to be this transition of colors happening within there, okay? So you need to learn to blend out the bottom of this cloud a little bit more and have everything go with it. Then you can go back and add a little bit more highlight onto it to really build a structure. I think less would be a little bit more for you on this one. And it's okay. Yeah, I've been there. You get carried away. You're like, oh, dude, this is a fucking awesome color. This is looking great. This is turning out awesome. This is going well. And then you're like, oh, God, what did I do? I got a little carried away and there's too much now. And once it's on there, it's very hard on a black canvas to take it away. So I would say for next time, just learn. Do like one section or one cloud at a time. Do this and then stand away and go, okay, that looks good there. Well, I'm going to put one over here. Okay, cool. Now I'll put one here. Okay, cool. That's probably good enough. I should stop there, you know? It's okay to stand away from your painting. Don't go, yeah, clouds for days, yeah. And then you're like, oh, shit. Do one at a time. Do one at a time. Hey, what's up, Pedro? How you doing there today? For lightning, you need to use a very thinned paint, okay? Or a paint that has a lot of flow in it. You try to use what looks to be paint almost right out of the tube, and it doesn't have any flow to it. Lightning also, just to let you know, generally doesn't have curves. Generally, lightning, I'm going to do this so shitty. Generally, lightning has crackles in it, okay? They have these like geometric, like straight shapes. Lightning is formed by the static ions that have, and they connect from one technically ion to the next, which is the shortest direction it can do, which is a straight line. And it's a bunch of straight lines that happens. Yes, those straight lines can form a curve, but it's generally straight lines going down and across, which is why it's so fucking beautiful, because it has all these like cracks and crackles going through it. So next time you make lightning, you want to think more in straight factions of lines that go down to the ground. And that'll help out a lot more. I would probably say skip lightning until you get better with flows of your paint. Your horizon line is nice and straight, but it shouldn't be this bold. It should be a lot faded. This is way, way, way in the background. Or if you're going to make it bold, it would be bolder here, and then it eventually fade out on the left and right side. Okay. For your wave structures that you got going on in here, the background waves, this reflection, you need to pull a 2-inch brush all the way across. Hey, thank you for that YouTube channel membership right there. You'd be awesome. You want to pull these all the way across, and what that's going to do is create these beautiful line streaks and pull that base tone of color underneath. And all it is lightly taking your 2-inch brush and just going back and forth, back and forth. And the longer you sit there, Pat, or no, wait. Who are we doing again? Yeah, Pat. I was getting confused with Pedro. The longer you sit there, dude, the further these lines are going to fade back, which is going to help you. So sit and blend the back for a little bit, and then do less strokes to the midground and then less strokes to the foreground, because it should get more vivid as it gets closer to us. Okay? It looks like your background clouds, background waves were an afterthought right here. And that's okay. This is tough. Generally, to build a wave, you got to take a fan brush, come up and over, and then when you're at the top, just kind of like push in a little extra white to make it look like it's crowning and coming across. And then you take your fan brush and you kind of just swoop up. And that's right, I said swoop, not swoop, swoop up. You got to put a little bit of like a C shape in here. A little bit of a C shape, and I'm talking about for here. I'm just drawing up here in the sky for no reason, because it's easier for me. Got to put a little bit of this C shape in here, because remember, water's being pulled in. It's being pulled in. So you got to add a little bit of that swoop, the C swoop up in here. And same thing on top. And then just add a little bit of extra white from your fan brush, so it looks like white caps have crashed over the top. All right? And then you just do the same back and forth brush strokes down here to build some structure. Now we get to the gigantic wave. Gigantic wave. You're welcome. These videos help me learn new challenge solving for wet and wet technique, especially making custom brush scrubbers. Nothing fun about cleaning. That's the worst part about painting. I can agree with that on that. But thank you. I do appreciate it. Lightning looks best in 3 colors, I think. I've only done lightning once, and I did it all in white. And it looked fine because it was on black canvas, so it had contrast to it. Alrighty, let's continue here. So the biggest problem here is you have, in the real world, this is called shore break. Like your beach is here and you have shore break, which is fine, but you kind of just created like a cyclone. You have just like an oval circle here that's just cutting down and across. you don't have much of a forming of a wave. Excuse me. This wave would be better if it was smaller. I probably won't be able to do this, but let's see. If your wave was like back here and then formed into the beach, it would be way better because it would make more sense. Because then you could take your you could take your wave and then form it up into here and then have it come down and crash and then create all this whitewash splash that could splash up over here, creating a nice little mist. And then you could create your beach scene right here. Whoops, trying to use a different color. Your beach scene that would then come down and across like that and then create all this beautiful like whitewash over here with sheen reflecting it over. You made everything too big because it got away from you too quickly. And that kind of like, you know, again, just like your clouds kind of got away from you really quickly, that it was just too much too soon. And that's fine. Perspective and painting is very, very difficult. And like you said, you realize afterward you had the wrong shape, and that's fine. It's because the perspective to build is very, very difficult when it comes to wave. And the easiest way to start building a perspective is cheat, okay? Next time when you do it, create an outline edge for the top of your wave and how it forms. So just paint up, and then the wave crashes and comes down. So that way when this wave forms up like this, it's then going to crash over, which means you can put all your whitewash streaks here, and then it hits, and then maybe it loops out like that, and then you can put your spray going across. So create your outline edge for your wave, and it's going to help you a ton, dude. It's going to help you a ton. The one thing I do appreciate that the other person did not do, see these lines right here? This is helping to form your ocean wave right here. Like, I get the impression, and I'm sure Pat does too, that these lines right here represent that water is being pulled up and pulled over and into this crash here. And it looks beautiful. The only thing I would probably do, Pat, is you need to fade your bright color here and then fade it out and across this way. Technically, your bright color would fade into like a little triangle shape here, okay? So you'd have bright white here because it's getting exposed, and then it's fading from the refraction point of this wave, so it gets smaller. So let's just say small, big, bigger, big, 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 like that. Okay? Or you can even do it the opposite way if you wanted to. If this wave is really big on the perspective and it's coming over, it's actually trapping the light in here and it's not escaping, so it's getting big, bigger, 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 bigger. Both can work. Both have different perspectives on how it works within the wave. But all in all, good. You know what the cool thing is? Just like the last advice for the other person I just gave, I would say paint this again. Paint this one more time, because this isn't too difficult of a painting. This is a good introductory painting. But work on one cloud at a time. Okay, Pat? Work on putting highlights on that one cloud and then fading out the bottom, then go on to the next one. We're not going to do lightning this time. Okay? No lighting. That's an intermediate effect. We'll save that for the next time. Then work on putting the correct fading of a horizon line and the streaks and blending them in. Then I would say maybe make, two waves, one waves, whatever you're feeling confident, background waves, and put that outside edge, and then put the little swoop of goop up into there, and then fade it in. Then move this section of this big old wave, move it more up into here. It doesn't have to be that big. And then think about how the water is going to form up and crash over and go across, build that eye, and then all the swoops up into it, you know? And then you're going to have more space for your sand and your wet sand and beach here, and it's going to look beautiful, dude. It'll be fun. I think if you paint this one this weekend, obviously hold on to this painting here, use it as a reference, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what you paint here, or what you painted here, and then when you paint later on this weekend, you're going to compare the two, and you're going to go, oh my gosh, this looks so much better. You're going to be like, fuck yeah, and you're going to be super proud. This is great. This is great. This is a good starter. I didn't get a chance to ask you. I forgot, Pat. What number painting do you think this is for you? Is this 5, 10, 20, 100? Let us know. Oh, I'm hungry, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, number 9. Yeah, it's good for number 9, dude. This is very good for number 9. I think number 10, which you're going to do this weekend if you have some time. Also, happy Father's Day to everybody out there. Take some time and paint this one. Use like the tips here. I hopefully made a little list of notes. If not, I'm going to re-say them again here for you. Get a pad of paper or a pencil, or come back to the VOD in the section. It's like 2 minutes and 44 seconds or 45 seconds right now. Or 2 hours and 45 minutes I'm in. I want you to work on one cloud at a time. I want you to fade out the bottom of that one cloud. Then I want you to add highlights from where your light source is coming on that cloud. Then blend that in to where it's nice and smooth and you're happy with it. Then work on the next cloud. Add as many clouds as you want, but don't get carried away. Work on your horizon line to where you fade it out and build it naturally with the streaks go back and forth, because it's going to pull that blue forward. It's going to look like natural ripples in your water. Then work on the swoop-a-doop of your two waves that you have in the background. Work on structure only. Work on structure only, and then add extra white from a fan brush to make it look like the crackle of the wave came over and splash. Then work on your big wave by creating an outline edge first, then build the structure, add the swoops up into it, fade the color correctly, then add extra white on top right here to make the extra wave splash, but move that wave back, and then you can build your wet sand and across, and there, my friend, you will have a beautiful painting, and it'll be awesome. It will be awesome. Oh, my friends, I think it's that time where we say goodbye to each other, and I have to get some water, some food, and I actually have to go to the bathroom. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thanks for sticking in, popping in whenever you did. Thank you for the new YouTube members of Kana and Pat. Thank you so much for joining our little community here. It makes me so happy that you can join. Also, if you have the ability to, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please, if you can, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. That's where I post a lot of fun stuff. And if you do have the opportunity, hey, think about becoming a YouTube channel member for the low, low price of $1. If you got more, you can help. You can also send super thanks. And yeah, that's probably it. Don't forget to watch today's video, which is an awesome California sunset, which is actually really, really, really easy to paint. And then my next video is another tutorial, but I think I got one more that I can fit in there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll do another painting review. Don't know when, but I'll let you know on social medias and in the community section of YouTube. I will see you guys all later. Have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Have fun. Get a little bit of beer. Hopefully relax and have a good time. I'll catch you all later. Take care. And of course, peace.